Hey, everybody, welcome to The King is Coming. My name is Kyle Loriano. I'm here with Laura. Laura comes up from us across the pond from the United Kingdom. Laura, thank you for joining and for telling your testimony about how you encountered Christ. I can't wait to hear it, and I'm just thankful for our time together.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here and being someone that I get to share this story with, because God has really called for me to share this with whoever
Mm.
will hear it.
Wow. Wow.
I kept it to myself for about 6 months, and then I actually had a dream, and Jesus was like, why are you not telling anyone? And I was
Huh.
like, right, I'm off. I'll tell anyone that will
Wow.
listen. So thank you for having me.
Oh, of course. So let's talk about kind of the beginning of your walk, either before Christ or just your childhood. Did you dabble into Christianity as a youth? Were you raised into that? What did it look like as a child?
No, I didn't have any upbringing in the church, like nothing.
Huh.
My parents aren't religious at all. They don't know Christ. They are not. Well, actually, I suppose you could say they are Christian because in we have the Church of England, so naturally if you ask them they would say it. But then they weren't Christian. But I was christened as a child because that was what you did in England in that at that time. So I was christened, but there was no talk of God. There was no talk of salvation. There was no talk of Jesus, certainly. And if anything, I think my parents are very sort of anti-religious. I think they grew up around people that were very restricted, not in Christianity, but in other religions.
Mm.
And so both my mother and father had sort of religion is too tight of a box and we want freedom, and so we don't want anything to do with that. That was sort of on them. And I would pick up on that in conversation sometimes. So there was really no Christian structure. I do remember that I had a Bible that I was given when I was christened. It was like a child's Bible. It's big. It was this beautiful illustration of Jesus, and we'd had it in our library in our house. And I would every sort of week or two, or whenever I was in the office, my dad's office was in there. I would go in and I would see it, and I'd be like, "Oh, I feel like it's so special. Like I feel like it's really, really special." And I'd pick it up and go, "I have no idea what it says." And I like the Jesus picture, but I have no idea what it says or what it means. But I feel like it's really special. So I knew from a young age that there was something more to life, and I certainly had the gift to sense more than what was around, see more than what was around, feel more. I was a very sensitive child, very independent child. Always was like, my mum's telling me to do that, but I feel like that's wrong, and I feel like I should do this, so I'm going to go do that. And my mum will tell you, like, I wasn't rebellious, but she'd say, "Well, I'm not going to give you advice because you're not going to take it. You're going to do what you feel is right." And I was like that from a young age. So I think the spirit that God gave me was to seek truth, was to move against the world and against the grain. It made me uncomfortable I certainly didn't fit into the world. So every time I tried, it didn't work. So there was this sort of spirit in me that was like, I don't think the way people are doing life is the way we're supposed to be doing it. It doesn't make sense to me. But I didn't know what that meant. So that made things difficult because as a child, I mean, don't we all just want to fit in and
Yeah.
like be liked?
Yes. That's interesting that you had a drawing so early too.
Yeah.
Not only to the book, but to the illustration part of it, right? It was the ornate design of it, right? It was something that was almost supernatural in a way, calling you, even in the child's Bible, right? There's
Yeah.
life in those words, even though it's not, portrayed as the biblical Bible. There is something that still calls to us on our spirit. So I found that interesting, Laura. And so, yeah, you're going through your walk of life, and you're having a little bit of, I guess, rub, right? Every child does with
Yeah.
their parents, but that's what gives us our boldness, right? And now it gives you more boldness for what we're doing today. So kind of talk to me about that, Laura. Then how did that kind of expand upon that part?
Well, I think at that age, you see things and you sense things and you think that everyone else is sensing the same thing.
Mm, yeah.
That's, I think, human nature. So as I got older, I started to notice that people weren't seeing what I was seeing,
Mm,
and I didn't feel what I was feeling. And so, you know, you've got my father on one hand who says we're going to go do this. Mother on the other hand says we're going to go do that. And me on the other hand, it's like I don't want to do either of those things. I love my parents so much; they put up with me. But I really felt like from a young age there was so much to me. I was like, grew up in a tiny village. There was more horses than people. And I was like, I'm too small for this town. I have something in me that is so big it doesn't even fit in this world, and I don't know what that means. But I'll tell you, it's really frustrating because I was like, I can't breathe. I need to go and see the world. I need to go, like, there's things out there. I've got to go seek. I had this seeker. I wanted the truth. I've always been a seeker. So I had this sort of feeling of wanting to go and do things. And yet my father's very much like that. He's traveled his whole life. So I have that from him. But my mother's the opposite. And she's a homebody. And my siblings are homebodies. So I'm kind of like the odd one out, the black sheep. It didn't feel good. I can't say it felt good. It really didn't feel good. I just wanted to feel loved and nourished and safe. And I really struggled to find it because there was no one that was like me. And so my family, we traveled a bit because my father works in the oil industry. So at a baby, 6 weeks, we started moving around, and we lived in different countries, different houses every week, every 6 months. And so I went to different schools, and every school I went to, it was always from women. Women didn't seem to like me. It's like I upset them without saying anything, or I bothered them. And I couldn't understand why that would be. And every school I went to, there was someone that seemed to want to outcast me or bully me. And I just have memories of like 3 or 4 different schools. Like there's always someone in it, that it wasn't the boys, it was always the girls. And so you can imagine, like, you already feel different. You don't understand yourself. You want a life that no one else seems to be seeking. You see things that possibly aren't there. You hear things that possibly aren't there. And it felt like no one liked me. So if I look back to my life then, I see how the enemy lined me up. Like isolation, making me feel like I'm crazy and there's something wrong with me, whispering in my ear like, no one likes you. No one likes you. Here we go, another school. Oh, they don't like you either. Your mum doesn't even like you. Your sisters don't like you. Your brother doesn't like you. Like there was always a voice in my head that said people don't like you. And so it kept me more isolated. So I would encourage everyone to look at their life and say, how did the enemy line me up to take the bait? Because he lined Eve up and he lined me up, and he would have lined you up at some point. Like we've all experienced this. So that was like the story of my childhood, of if I look back and watch. So that was happening. And then I don't remember often getting a full night's rest, because when I would sleep, I would feel the presence of things. Like I thought they were ghosts. That's what I equated them to. My dad would tell me ghost stories of when he saw ghosts. My mum would tell me ghost stories when she saw ghosts. So I have, parents that probably do have the ability to see. But I would try and go to sleep, and something would pull my covers or poke my face, or they would walk around my bed. Like, Carl, I would feel my floorboard moving. Like, I'm like, oh, they're over there. They're walking around the bed, and now they're there, and now they're not moving, which means they're standing there and looking at me. And I can't sleep when something's looking at me. I would hear the wicker chair in my bedroom creak as things sat down in it. Like this was every night, and I'm not even saying, I'm not saying this is once in a while. This was every night.
Wow.
So I'm not sleeping, and that's going to add right to everything. Yeah.
So you're already sensitive, right? You're having this draw in the spirit, right? Where you want to obtain for more, but then you're kind of getting answer to that call because there's something else plaguing you, something that's not from God that's plaguing you. But your family's telling you that they're ghosts. So you're thinking that it's something, could be playful, could be not playful, could be what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe more meek, maybe something that's not going to be as dangerous as it is. But the enemy, like you mentioned, is lining you up for something, and it's setting you on a path to believe in this, and almost taking over your life. It seems like it's a daily attack or a daily spiritual wrestle each and every day. That's a lot for a child, and that's a lot for your mental capacity too. Just to even in the physical, in the natural world, we can only handle so much. In the spirit, we can handle everything, but in the natural, we have a finite box that we can work and operate in without kind of breaking, it seems like, at the seams. And you're on that path. You're each and every night you're getting these demonic attacks, which is what they are. And and your parents are thinking it's ghosts. That must have been extremely challenging for you, especially when you would go to school and you would have other kids and they wouldn't probably have that kind of interaction, or they would say, "Oh, what is that? I don't know what you're talking about." But you mentioned something earlier, how the enemy was already attacking you and whispering to you, speaking evil into your life and almost word cursing you so early in life. It's striking to me about how much spiritual attack you had so young. Um, when you went through those episodes, did you ever have any alleviation, any break where you felt any peace, or did you? We were just so used to it that you're almost numb to the idea of peace at that point.
I think I was numb to it at this point. Or actually, I think
Mm,
I was just so used to it. I
yeah,
didn't know any different. I didn't know what peace was. so,
yeah.
I guess like I don't. It was kind of a thing in the house. Like
Wow.
let's say my family are watching a movie in the living area, we would hear things running up and down the hallway upstairs. And it was genuinely normal. My mom would be like, "Oh yeah," because she I believe she rang a psychic medium when I was a child and
Uh,
said, "There's something in my house," because she'd had an encounter where she was sat with my sisters and this cold breeze went straight through her body. She said she jumped up, she ran out the room, she was terrified.
mm,
And things would go missing as well. Like, you
mm.
walk into the kitchen and you've put something on the table, you walk back in and it's in the middle of the floor in the kitchen. It's like, well, I know I didn't
Wow.
put that there. So, she saw it as like teasing spirits. Or when she
Interesting.
rang this psychic, they said, "Oh, it's just children," you
Mm,
know. And
yeah.
I noticed that, and discovered that when I was older, playing and dabbling in witchcraft. When I was older and playing with these things, um,
Mm,
these demons will show up as something that is less threatening than what they actually are, and that is women and
yeah.
children.
That's interesting, yeah. And so it was already kinda gearing you into what the
Yes.
next step was, and you kind of alluded to that in that next path there. So, this is normal for you and your family. You brought in that psychic medium. Did things get better with that psychic medium, or did they get worse?
No, I don't think it made any difference at all. It was more, I don't think
Really?
she did anything to remove these spirits. She just said, "Oh, it's children." So my mum,
Mm,
what it did was open more doors because
wow.
then my mum went, "Oh, okay, it's
Mm,
children." So that kind of it softened her. That's what it did.
dangerous.
So I don't know if it got worse. It probably did actually get worse because I remember seeing light switches turning on and off.
Wow.
My brother would feel stuff in the house because he would work late at a pub and come home at midnight, and I
Yeah.
would hear him run up those stairs in our house as quickly as he could because he said there's always something waiting for me at the bottom of the stairs. And I was like, "Yes, I know," because
Wow.
I would go to bed early too. Because as soon as it got dark, I didn't like being in our house. I didn't. It wasn't. I mean, it was an old house. It wasn't that old. It wasn't like
Yeah.
horror movie old, but it was probably 100, 200 years old. But I hated it, and there was parts of the house I wouldn't go to. So
Mm,
our living room was quite big. It was long, and we had sort of sofas on either end, and we had the TV at the end. And I hated being down there because
wow.
there was something that was like lingering there. So as
Mm,
soon as like if no one was in the house, I'm not sitting in the living room watching TV. I'll go and paint something, or I'll go and sit in my room and listen to music, anything, because I couldn't be in that space. So that's
mm,
again, where is the safe place
yes.
when like there isn't one? So where is
Yeah.
my peace? Where is my safety? Where is my feeling of like, oh, I can finally rest? Because it's not
Mm,
even in my own house. It's not when I sleep. It's not at school. It's not really even with my parents. My father traveled all the time. He wasn't home that much. And my mother
mm,
was very emotionally shut off.
yeah.
So getting any sort of emotional love and nourishment from her was it wasn't going to happen. And there was four of us kids, so she was also busy,
Wow.
and she did the best she could. I love my mum to pieces, and I have nothing against my mother at all. But that was what it was like, and so there was just there was no place to rest,
Mm.
nothing. So
Wow.
it's like you're being dangled in limbo forever. And that's what hell is, isn't it? If you
Yeah.
study Dante's Inferno, you got the limbo, right? You know, it
Mm.
is. If you're treading water your whole life, it's tiring. And so the more
Yes.
tired we are, the more likely we are to take what the enemy is offering us. So I think by
Mm.
the time I was 14, 15, I'd seen a lot. We did have a vicar in to pray over the house. I didn't do anything. It made no difference. And I saw the worst experience, the worst thing that I went through was when I was about 15, 16. I woke up in the night and I opened my eyes and there was a girl sat against the wall to the right hand side of my bed. She had blonde pigtails, like a little bangs. She looked like she had a school uniform on. She was sat against the wall with her legs out and her sort of toes touching, and her head was like this. She looked dead. She looked like a rag doll. Scared the life out of me. I
Mm.
was terrified. I threw myself under my covers and I didn't move until I heard the birds singing. Because when the
Wow.
birds were singing, the sun's coming up, which means I
Mm.
can look and there's light. Because she was my door to the hallway was here. She's
Mm.
here. So I'm not going anywhere. And I couldn't sleep without light after that. Like I
Wow.
just couldn't. And my father bought me a little TV um, after that, and I just used to keep TV on all the time. I was terrified.
Yeah, I would be too. I mean, it's amazing just how strong that manifestation was then that they created that image of a child lifeless, if you will, and
Yeah.
that's seared into your memory now, but that created so much trauma. I wonder if that was a reason to kinda gear you to the next step in a way that they wanted for your assignment in life, right? For the enemy's assignment to kinda take that and because they place fear in our hearts, right? They place fear in our hearts because they feed off of it.
Mhm.
Um, I'm curious about if the next part of your story kinda went darker because of that, or if there was more to that still, like more trauma with that with those evil entities.
I think that was probably the worst thing that I saw at that time. I did start to get sleep
Mm.
paralysis.
Oh,
That
wow.
was getting really heavy as well, which was terrifying
Interesting.
because it would come through my throat. It would like something was strangling me.
Yep.
Um, so I would say, like as far as seeing things and sensing things, that was the worst it got at that time. But what it did was, I think it had a ricochet effect
Mm.
because my body, I started getting sick. I wasn't well, and I guess I was seeking control somewhere somehow.
Mm.
And that first manifested in three different things. The first thing it manifested in was the way I was dressing. So I was always very girly. um, I would been painting my nails and my father's nails since I was about 2 3. And suddenly I didn't want to do that anymore. I wanted black hair, I wanted to wear black, I wanted chains, I wanted piercings, I wanted tattoos, I wanted the opposite, which was not, people who knew me, that's not me. But I think I got
Mm.
to this point where I was like, I'm so tired, I'm so lonely, and I'm so sick of not fitting in. I was
Mm.
being bullied at school. I didn't have any friends. I would eat my lunch in the girls' room. I would like lock myself in a stall and eat my sandwich and make my way around the school to different restrooms. So I was just like, probably reach my limit.
Mm.
And I thought, well, if I can't fit in with anyone, I'll just do the opposite. Because if you're going to make fun of me, at least make fun of the fact that I'm different. Because right
Yeah.
now there's nothing. So it was me trying to seek power.
Mm.
And if I look back, it was around the time that I started getting sleep paralysis. And so I think things were actually
Mm.
starting to enter me and be, and manifest in me. I
Yeah.
think is what was happening. And so suddenly, yeah, I went to a friend's house, dyed my hair black. My
Huh.
parents were horrified. Um, I wore black clothes. I started getting piercings up my ears, belly button
Yeah.
pierced, like I just wanted to get all these tattoos and things. Um, and so that started happening, and then I stopped eating. And I think that was my second thing
Mm.
of my control was I'm going to just stop eating altogether. And that was my way of finding some kind of control. But also
Yes.
I was really looking for um, attention,
Mm.
if I'm honest,
Yeah.
connection. And I know people talk about attention seeking. Yeah, it was connection seeking. I am
Yeah.
so lonely at this point.
Mm.
I feel like I've got no one. I've got no friends. My siblings and I weren't really close. I had twin sisters, so they kind of hung out together. I had an older brother who just wanted to play his Xbox and be left alone.
Right.
Fair enough. So my
Hmm.
dad was traveling, and then my mother she just wasn't available. So I'm like,
Hmm.
where do I rest? Where's my nourishment? Where's my like, oh honey, I'm so proud of you. Look what you've done. Like, I didn't get any of that. I don't know what it means for someone to be proud of you or
Hmm.
to like encourage you.
Yes.
I don't know what that means. So it was sort of like finding some kind of control, but also like, well, maybe if I look different, someone will love me because I'm not loved like this. So maybe if I have black hair, maybe if I start being a goth, maybe the goths will love me. Maybe
Mm.
if I'm really skinny, a guy will like that. You know, it was like trying to get people to love me, trying to manipulate myself
Mhm.
into being lovable or what I thought would be lovable, I guess.
Yeah.
But I got thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner, and no one said anything.
Mm.
No one did
So
anything.
it did the opposite effect.
Yeah, my mum, I mean, I found
Mm.
this out later. My mum actually said to my dad, you know, because my father said, she's getting thin. Like, I think this is getting quite serious. My mother said to him, she just wants seeking attention, just ignore it. And
Mm.
meanwhile, I'm getting thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner. And I'm thinking, no one's noticing. Like, I'm like a pin
Mm.
now.
Mm.
No one, you know, so it's like, what do I have to do to be loved? That's how the enemy lined me up.
Hmm.
Really, like, you're not lovable.
And it's
That's how
it's
he got.
interesting. So you went through the sleep paralysis. I
Yeah.
wanna there's a couple of things within that segment there I just wanna talk about. Sleep paralysis is the first one. When you went through that, what was it like? Did you see anything? Did you hear anything?
No, but well, so, my sleep paralysis, it wasn't just, it happened once
Mm.
occasionally. It was like, you know, when you fall out of sleep, you come back to life, you go back into it. So it would
Yes.
happen like 10 times in one
Wow.
night. That's really
Huh.
tiring if anyone's ever experienced. That's really exhausting. But that is mimicking hell because you die and you come back to life again so they can kill you again.
Yeah.
That's hell. So
Mm.
I knew it's demons. I know looking back it was demons. So
Yeah.
I didn't sense them for anything, but something that I started carrying with me was this feeling of what I described the abyss. That word
Mm.
came to me later on when I gave my life to Jesus. I used to have these dreams where I was floating in space in just darkness, and I knew that I could never go home, but I could never die.
Mm. Wow.
That's that's demonic. That's
It
like
is.
when I read about the pits in hell. You know, I was like, yeah, that sounds about right. So I
Mm.
think during that sleep paralysis, that's what was coming in, like these demonic things, because that's how they seek you. They may be locked in, or they may be in hell, but they can
Mm.
still access
Yeah.
you if you've opened a door. And so I would have those dreams, and then I would carry that feeling during the day.
Mm.
So that's a real emptiness. And I'll tell you what, it's hopelessness.
It is.
It's hopelessness, yeah.
And so when you started having these thoughts to yourself about, well, if I only changed my hair color, if I only, maybe got skinnier, do you think those thoughts were your own thoughts?
Maybe, yeah.
Hmm.
Maybe. Maybe a combination. It's hard to tell, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
It's interesting how we adapt so much into that lifestyle that
Mm,
you start to become it. You start to become the very thing you hate, right?
that's
You hate
true.
that loneliness, so you start to become loneliness. You hate the despair, so you start to become it.
You make
That's
friends with the pain because it's easier.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So that's it's a horrible situation to be in, and so now you're getting thinner and thinner. Your parents are noticing it, but they're choosing to ignore the behavior to not encourage further, but they're doing the opposite effect.
Mm.
So what happened then at that point?
Uh, I I got really desperate. I started. I think it was about a year into not eating correctly. I started having panic attacks, and it's funny, you know, because again, the attack is here.
Mm.
Now I'm a teacher and a speaker. That's what I do. I preach the word of God, and I speak and I teach women about godliness and being a woman of God. So it's always the attack of the voice.
Mm.
So when I had my sleep paralysis, it was like something, I can't breathe, like I'm being strangled. And I had my first panic attack. I remember it so clearly. My mum was driving us home, and suddenly it was like my lungs closed. I've
Mm.
never had the experience since, but it was like my lungs closed, and suddenly I couldn't get any air, and I just went like, it was as if something was just like the lungs closed. And my mum is trying to drive, and we're 10 minutes from home, and I'm like, can't get any air in. She gets us home. She phones an ambulance. They say, oh, she's had a panic attack. I was like, that was a panic attack? My lungs closed. I've had panic attacks in the past. I've had anxiety, and I know that it doesn't feel good. I know that you think you can't breathe, and it kind of feels like you can't breathe, but you can really. I couldn't breathe.
Mm.
Like, I couldn't get air in. It was as if I'd swallowed water or something. I couldn't get air in.
Mm.
But that scared me so much that then I did really start getting anxiety and panic attacks, and I didn't leave the house for 3 months. My
Wow.
parents, well, my mum particularly, would get annoyed at me because she's like, you got to go outside. I'm like, I don't want to. I'm too scared.
Wow.
And so I finished up school, and we went into sort of summer holiday. So that was kind of good timing. I locked myself away, and I just put movies on repeat in my room and just locked myself in my room for a really long time. And then I think that my saving grace was learning how to drive. So I did my driving test, and I passed. And that made me feel like I had a bit of freedom, because I actually couldn't feel like I could breathe in that house. There was
Mm.
no air in that house. So there wasn't any air and salvation from my family. And the house itself was just riddled with who knows what. And so as soon as I could drive, I said to my mum, I was like, well, I'm off. I'm going to go and see. I had a boyfriend at the time. She went, you can't go and see him. He lives half an hour away, and you've got to cross motorways, and you've got to cross big roundabout. I'm like, I don't care. I'm going. This is me, my rebellious spirit. I was like, I know what you're telling me to do, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go. And I arrived shaking. I was like, I've done it. I did it. I got here. But that probably gave me a good few years of having a bit of freedom, and it did ease. The panic attacks eased because I felt like I could breathe. I could go out a bit more. I
Mm.
wasn't in that house as much, and that helped. So I was probably moving away from it a little bit. I do think a lot of the suppression was in the house,
Interesting. Yeah.
because I've
Yeah.
experienced demons that follow me, and then I've
Yeah.
experienced them that are in the house, and they were in the house. And when I left, I don't. It had molded me into the
Yeah.
woman I now was,
Hmm.
but it didn't necessarily follow me.
That's interesting that you mentioned that. So, and that's what I was thinking about too. Were the demons that followed you different, or they differed than the ones that were keeping you at home? Because it seemed like it wanted to keep you at home, right? They put that phobia in your heart in order for you to stay at home, and then in turn, you kind of settled into whatever it wanted you to do. But once you started having that freedom, did you still have some of the other tendencies, or did some other things start to break away with that newfound freedom? Well, others still lingered, of course, but maybe some of the other, like the rebelliousness was always attached to you, but there were some of the aspects of having the eating disorder and maybe fitting in, and all these other things that are plaguing your mind at night. I wonder if that alleviated in a way within that time frame.
Yeah, I think it did, and I've actually never really thought about it about like in
Mm.
that way. So I appreciate
Yeah.
that, because you've actually just given me some insight to my own life. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, because I started eating again. I asked
Hmm.
my father for help. I said, I need help. I need someone's got to help me. I can't keep living like this. So he sent me to a therapist for a few months, and that helped. So I started eating again. I was in a relationship which helped me to eat, because he was very encouraging and like, let's go out for dinner and let's go, so it's kind of normal life. I had the black taken out of my hair. My father was so happy. You should see, like, credit card, go, go to the salon. I don't care how much it costs. Go get it done. Love him. And I was like, I think I want to get new clothes. I want to throw the black clothes away and buy some. He's like, credit card, there you go. Pop it, go shopping. It's on me. He's so happy. So I guess, yeah, when I left the house, or when I had more freedom and I was staying at my boyfriend at the time's house, I wasn't in the house as much. I was sleeping normally.
Hmm.
I felt very safe with him, so I could just sleep. And yeah, I would say some chains broke.
Mhm.
Yes, I would say chains broke.
Interesting.
Yeah,
And nothing ever affected him when
not
he
that
was
I'm
there?
aware of. No.
Interesting. Yeah. So it was whatever it was is some open door that you opened unbeknownst to you, or your family opened and maybe you were appended to it in some way, and now
Mm.
that chain was broken, right? So that's really interesting. So now you're kind of living a normal life. It
Mhm.
seems like you kind of had all those. Did those thoughts still creep into your mind during that time, or during that sense of freedom? You didn't really have that negative kind of thought spiral, if you will.
Yeah, I definitely felt better. I mean, like I said,
That's
it
interesting.
had molded me into a certain person,
Yeah, yeah.
but I could breathe. I could get out of the house whenever I wanted. I
Mm,
could go and see friends. I did, along with the spirits. My mum made me feel quite suffocated. She's
mm,
quite controlling. Is you know, so it really did feel like, oh, I can go out and I can breathe. So yeah, a lot of patterns dropped away. And I went to college. I studied art and photography. I would say my photography was still quite dark,
mm,
especially the first year. If I remember exactly what I took photos of, yeah, that was pretty dark. But the second year was a lot lighter. It was I had taken the beauty of suffering. I'd made suffering beautiful and turned that into art.
mm,
And that felt really good. And I did really well in I wasn't good at school, so I could draw and that was about it. So to go to college and actually be good at something gave me some encouragement,
mm.
because I failed all my other exams. Like I wasn't academic.
Yeah.
Um, my brain doesn't work like that. So suddenly I was like, oh, I'm getting A's. Me,
Mm,
like who knew? And so there was sort of this this call to art, and it was quite dark. But I had a fantastic teacher, and he
mm,
would look at my artwork and be like, wow, that's really good. You've
mm,
really captured an emotion. He's like, you've captured an emotion in a picture. No one else has done that in the classroom. Have you done that? I was like, oh,
mm.
I can see things.
Yeah.
He was like, what do you mean? I was like, I can see things, and when I see them, I take a picture. And so when you see the picture, you can see them. He was like, is that what
Mm,
I'm looking at? I said, that's what you're looking at. So he was a great teacher. He was fun. So that encouraged me, and I did that, and I ended up going to university, studied law for a couple of years, which I didn't super love, but it was good to have under my belt. And then I went and did my degree. I did my degree in fashion, so it put me back to the artistic. And I was always interested in fashion as a child. My mum would let me dress myself as soon as I was old enough to dress myself, which was two, maybe. She would just let me dress myself, and my socks matched my hair bow, and my nails matched my handbag. That was me. So those years again were great because I could create. I didn't have any darkness. Um, I had ended the previous relationship a few years before that, but I got into a relationship when I was about 20, and I was with him till I was 24, 25. And I lived with him, so I was living in a house that was not filled with things. I was sleeping properly.
mm.
Those were good years, I would say. But the emptiness was still there.
Mm.
The
That's
the
interesting.
the pit was still with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you had a sense of purpose, right? Through that
Yeah.
time, it seems like you found your own identity, and
Yeah.
the world would commend you for that, but your heart was still missing something. It was devoid of something.
Yeah.
So even though you kind of went through that life, you understood the pain, the trauma that you went through, and now you're kind of seeing in a different fashion. Did you ever have something else stir upon your heart that maybe there was something greater that you were missing, or did you just think, I don't know why I feel down or why I feel this way? It must be everybody must be feeling this way. Is that how you felt, or did you have a yearning for something more?
I definitely had a yearning for something more. I mean, I do
Mm,
think that's how, again, the enemy, that's how he tricks women.
yeah.
He's been using the same trick since the beginning. Like, there's something that you're missing, and I've got it. I've got what it is that
Mm,
you're missing. That's what he's done with women since the beginning. So, yeah, there was that, again, it was that feeling of like, there's more.
mm,
I really felt like it was that feeling of growing up. I can't breathe. I'm meant for more. I'm supposed to go out and teach something. I knew that from when I was like 3. I'm
yeah.
supposed to go out and teach something. People are supposed to know who I
Mm,
am because I have a really important message. And when they hear that message, they're going to be saved. That was what I used to tell myself when I was like 3 or 4 years old. I knew that. And I didn't know where
mm,
it was. And I was always going to seek it until I found it. So although I was creative and I was doing all these things, it was also a distraction from that feeling of like, I'm supposed to do something else.
mm,
And towards the end of my degree, was when it started to get worse because, you know, I was struggling with that last year. That last year is really difficult. You've got to make a lot of clothes, and you've got to go to London Fashion Week, and the women there are kind of mean, and I don't like mean women because I've lived my whole life with mean women, and so the whole fashion industry can be like that. And so I'm struggling with my last year, and because I'm struggling, I'm not sleeping. And I was kind of bullied in university as well, which is not a surprise. I felt isolated. Teachers didn't really like me. They didn't help me. They helped everyone, but they didn't help me. And so that voice was like, see, no one likes you. Like, no one likes you. So I remember one morning the teacher came. We had 3 teachers. One of them came in. He went to every single person, and there's like 12 women in the class. Every single woman he went to, helped her, sat with her, got to the end of the classroom, looked at me, walked straight out the door.
Wow.
And I'm like, am I really that bad? Like, am I like my this voice was like, see, even teachers don't like you. People really didn't like me, and I'm not. I'm not an evil person. I'm not. I help anyone I can, even from as a young age. I would help anyone I can. I would hug anyone that needs a hug. I would give stranger money. Like, I've always been of service in some way. People didn't like me, and I never understood it, and so that was happening. And so I'd go home to my boyfriend and be like, oh, you know, I can't do this sleeve. I can't sew this properly. He's like, well, did you ask your teacher? I was like, he doesn't talk to me. He just ignores me. And he's like, that doesn't make any sense. I know, but it doesn't. And so I was really overwhelmed with all the work that I had to do and figure out because no one would help me. And if I did ask for help, they acted like I was a problem and it was bothering them. So I'm just, again, it goes into isolation and that voice, like, no one likes you. So by the 3rd year, that real emptiness of like, there's got to be more. Like, there's got to be more. And the seeking, God hears it and Satan hears it. And Satan always comes in first because when God hears it, yes, he blesses you, but it takes nourishment and time. And he prepares you for the blessing and the abundance he wants to give you because abundance is heavy. God prepares you for what he's going to give you. Satan doesn't. He'll give it to you right away, but you won't be able to carry it. You won't know how to steward it, and it will hurt you. God's not going to do that because he loves you. So when I'm seeking, Satan comes in first. And Satan is all quick fixes and band-aids. That's all he can do, really. So I was seeking, and I went to a dinner party, and there was a woman there. And she was like, oh, Haley, my partner's best friend, she says that you're depressed. You're not doing good. I was like, not really. No, I'm struggling. I said, I'm struggling with my degree, and I just feel like there's so much more to me, and I don't know how to get it, and I don't even know what it is I'm looking for, to be honest. But I'm pretty depressed, and I'd put on like 2 stone. So I was overweight for how I felt. My dresses didn't fit me. I felt ugly, and I was all over the place. And she was like, oh, you haven't read The Secret? And I'm like, no. She's like, oh, you need to read The Secret. So I'm thinking, like, finally an answer. I'll buy it. So, Amazon, next day delivery, read it in a day, very small book, watched the movie, was obsessed. Was trying to get my boyfriend to read it. He's like, no, I'm not interested in that. His mom was Catholic. He wasn't religious, but he just was like, no, I'm not. I don't want to read it. I was like, well, at least watch the movie. He's like, I don't want to watch the movie. So that started to separate us because I think in my pride that I've discovered the secret of life, and that if I am God because I can create my own reality and I can speak things into existence, which is that's what I think I can do. I think I'm God, basically. And he doesn't want to come along on this journey. And I've felt like I wanted to spread my wings my whole life, and now I finally have the answer, and I can manifest anything I want because look at how powerful I am. And what am I going to do? Because my boyfriend doesn't want to come along on this journey, and he wants to stay where he is. So he would tell you, he's told me this in recent years. He said, as soon as you read that book, you were different. I lost my girlfriend. You were not the same person. You weren't the same person when you came to bed at night. You weren't the same person when you woke up in the morning. You weren't the same person when you came home from university. You were different. I had let something in.
Wow.
And I have repented for doing that when I came to Christ. And I also apologized to him.
Mm.
I said, I'm really sorry. I let something in, and I apologize because that's on me. So I had to repent to God and to him.
Mm.
But yeah, it put a rift in us. And I finished, university, and I graduated, and I got a B, which I was really shocked about because I thought I was going to fail because everyone acted like I was a failure. I was like, oh, I got a B. All right, fine. And so I just started, because I'm powerful now. Okay, I'm almighty and powerful. I'm now going to create my own clothing line and create a website and sell it. Which, to be fair, I did do that at 23 years old. I designed a 22-piece collection, and I wanted to take it to London. I wanted to take it to New York. I wanted to take it to Italy, and boyfriend didn't want to go. And so again, these ridges. In the end, we ended up separating. But we did have, I tell you what, this is more comical than anything. Towards the end of our relationship, we moved into a new house. So we've been in one house for 4 years and we never had any problems. We moved into a new house, and I was only there 3 months. There was a spirit in that house, what I would have called a ghost. He called it the potato ghost. And I'll tell you why he called it that. We would come home and there'd be potatoes scattered around our house. I kid you not, right? So I read that book,
Yeah.
and now they're back. Okay. So he leaves for work the first day we're there, and I'm cleaning the house and doing my woman thing and loving life. I clean the whole kitchen. I walk upstairs to do laundry, come back down. It's a potato on the floor. And I'm thinking, how did that even get there? Like, potatoes are they were in the fridge, I think. I was like, that's really random. I must have dropped it. Maybe it was in the pile of clothes. I don't know. Picked it up, put it away. Told him about it. He laughed. He's like, well, you probably dropped it. 2 days later, we came home from a night out, went into the living room. There's a potato on the sofa. I was like, what? I was like, well, that's not me. I didn't leave that there. Right. And he was like, we have a potato ghost. And I was like, ha ha ha, whatever. But as soon as he labeled it, we label something, it becomes part of us. And God doesn't deliver us from friends, he delivers us from enemies. So now we have a friend, and he's the potato ghost.
Mm.
And this would happen every few days. He went to bed one night. He shouted my name down. I was in the living room. He was like, Laura. I was like, what? He said, there's a potato on the bed. I was like, what? But then one night, we came downstairs in the morning and the candles were lit.
Whoa.
I didn't like those candles. I didn't even know where the lighter was.
Huh.
And that was when it got a bit scary. I was like, that's not funny now. Potato ghost was funny. Fire, that's not funny. That's not funny. And so we broke up shortly after that. That actually put a little bit of stress on our relationship. Not the potatoes being everywhere. I mean, we liked potatoes.
Yeah.
But it was more that I got scared. I started to get scared because I was like, something's in the house now. And it was in the house. It didn't leave me. It didn't leave, it didn't follow me.
Yeah.
But we broke up. And when I spoke to him sort of 6 months later, he said, yeah, he'd moved out of that house. He said there was always potatoes everywhere. Come home, there's a potato on the stairs. Go take the shower, there's a potato in the shower. Really strange things. So I think I let that in through reading that book. It brought it all back. And then
because it was that one legal assignment, one legal open door allowed everything. Because the thing that's striking is how quickly it manifested. The potato moving, that's interesting. But the fact that you came down and all the candles were lit, that's scary. And that's because of something strong doing that in some kind of legal way. That must have been completely free reign at that point. And it must be from that book, just from opening it and reading it and giving it the assignment to say, well, maybe giving your heart to it at some point. And then that changes the game plan. It's just striking to me that there's so much of that happened so quickly. It seems like how long were you in that home?
We moved in there around September, and I moved out in January.
Wow.
And then he was there. We signed a 6-month lease. He was there for the rest of the lease, and then I think he moved out.
Wow. So that's incredibly fast. You would never hear that. Even in modern day horror stories, it takes time. So
Yeah.
so it must have been a catalyst for that to spark,
Mm.
which is and it's interesting too that it led to a position where you ended up having a breakup at that same point.
Yeah.
Could have that have been demonically charged to create that environment?
I think so, because
Mhm.
him and I, when we spoke after all this happened, when we were both a bit older, we both agreed that we didn't have any issues in our relationship because
Mm.
we generally didn't. He was my best friend.
Wow.
The only thing that really got in the way, the only disagreement we had was that I wanted to go see the world and he didn't. That was the
Mm.
only disagreement we had, and we always compromised on that. Um,
Yeah.
but apart from that, we didn't have any issues. And so, yeah, I
Mm.
think there was definitely interference with that. And the plan was to be married and have children, have a family. And he is a father now, and he will be a great father. He was built to be a father. If I've ever known a man built to be a father, that's him. And so, we would have been a family, and the enemy hates family.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, but it did matter. I think as soon as he labeled it the potato ghost, that's when
Mm.
the catalyst. When you name things,
Yeah.
you claim them. Naming is claiming, and
Yes.
when you claim, you say yes, you may enter in this space because
Mhm.
you're basically saying yes to something like that.
Yeah. Legal
Um,
authority.
yes,
Mm.
yeah,
Horrible.
yeah,
So now you're at the stage where, all this stuff has transpired and life's kind of reverting back, it seems like.
yeah.
Did that follow you? Did that type of stuff follow you?
The potato ghost didn't follow me. That stayed
Good.
in the house with him.
Yeah.
um, but yes, in a way. So how like how I dealt with the breakup, I went back and stayed with my mum for a bit because I didn't have anywhere else to go and I had no money. I just got out of university. I'd only just started working. So I went back to my mum and I thought to myself, well, I've got this clothing collection here. I've always wanted to go to New York. I've been a few times. I loved it. I want to take it to New York. I'm I'm just going to go. That was my sort of
Mhm.
thinking. I worked for a little bit, and in the end, I was so unfulfilled in the structure of a bit of work. It just didn't satisfy me in any level. So I thought I'm not gonna bother. I'm gonna quit. I don't want to do this anymore. I didn't like my job. I was bullied in my job. I was like, give me a break. Like, does anyone like me? Like,
Mm.
my boss didn't like me at all, and the women would gang up against me. I mean, I'm 26 at this point. It's like, when
Yeah.
did you catch a break? So I just thought, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm done. I left that job. I went to New York and I stayed there for, I think, about 3 months. And I
Mm.
took, this collection around to shops, and no one was really that interested. And I was young, so they didn't take me that seriously. Um, and fashion industry is mean. But I did it anyway. I took it and I did it all in heels. Okay, I did it all in heels. I carried all these clothes everywhere. But during that time, I met someone. I met a man, and I ended up starting a relationship. This was about 8 months after my last relationship had ended. He was American, and that relationship set me up for a really dark path because
Mm.
I'd gone from, before I was into all this sort of reading The Secret and manifestation, I had a relationship with a man who was my best friend, was always there for me. I was always there for him. We were really well suited in our gender roles. He worked and I stayed home. I studied, but I also took care of the house. I cooked for him. We were just generally a really good team, and even biblically, we were a really good team. So I've gone from that to now this relationship, which was,
Mm.
we argued all the time. We were long distance for a lot of the time. When we were together, we argued.
Mm.
Um, I saw, he scared me,
Mm.
and I'd never been scared by a man before. And it was like, I felt like the enemy sent him. If I'm really honest,
Yeah.
because I learned this the hard way. With manifestation, they teach you to visualize.
Mm.
So I did, and I visualized this man, and he was kind of a cowboy, and he played the guitar, and he was American, and he wore a baseball cap, and he loved me, and he would sing me songs and write me poetry. I kid you not, this man was that. He was all
Mm.
those things. I'm not putting him down at all because I actually spoke to him, a year ago. He's genuinely a great man. Just it was not for me. We
Mhm.
didn't work together. But
Mm.
he was all those things. So of course, as soon as I see, well, he's a cowboy and he sings and he's writing music and sending me songs so immediately I think this is my soulmate. But the thing is that when we visualize a person, the demon will step in as that
Mm.
person. This is where spirit husbands and spirit wives come from. So
Mm.
visualizing is demonic. Visualizing people, especially romantic in like relationships, that is like the one of the worst things you can do. I didn't know that. So this man was it was kind of torturous,
Mm.
and I never knew where I stood with him. It was that limbo. That's something that I think is demonic when you know something's from the enemy. You can't really rest in it. There's
Yeah.
always this like treading water.
Mm.
So I was like, I don't feel like he loves me. I don't feel like he likes me half the time.
Mm.
The enemy always uses that against me. Oh, look, now you've got this nice man, but he doesn't really like you that much because you're not that lovable. Look, now you're in a relationship, someone doesn't even like you. Like, no one likes you.
Mm.
So we fell out all the time, and I didn't have the skills at that age to understand why, and I didn't have the skills to know how to navigate. He was much better at doing that than I was, but I was so unsafe as a woman because his moods would be very up and down that I didn't know what to do. And I remember praying, kind of like I was in America with him at the time, and those moments where you cry and you slide down the wall, like a very dramatic movie.
Mhm.
That was me in this moment as I fell against the wall and I just slid all the way to the ground crying. And I was like, if anything is out there, please help me. I can't do this. And I felt this peace, like this love.
Mm.
And if I look back at that was God. That was God. But I didn't have a word for that. So we can only use our own vocabulary. No one had ever talked to me about God or Jesus. So my vocabulary is spirit guides and angels and etc. etc. So I equate that to, oh my gosh, my very own spirit guide that is here to help me and guide me, and I don't have to be alone anymore. And because I was so struggling with my reality, I went into delusion and I went into it was the start of new age. But
Mm.
I became very obsessed with learning about angels and spirit guides and archangels, and I started reading Doreen Virtue's work, who's now been saved. Wayne Dyer's work, you name it, I'm reading it, and I'm reading like 2 or 3 books a week. Just I can't get enough. And I saw Doreen Virtue with tarot cards on her YouTube channel. I was like, who are they? I've not seen these before. She had her own collection, and I would wait for every Wednesday she would launch these videos.
Yeah.
And she did actually show up with a Bible sometimes because it was around the
Wow.
time that she was going into her salvation. She'd had an encounter with Jesus, and she was
Mm.
trying to merge the two worlds and hadn't quite discovered yet that you can't. So she was showing up with the Bible. I'm like, oh, she got a Bible. That's interesting. But I started really getting into tarot readings because I didn't understand why my relationship was so difficult, and I so wanted to be loved. I tell you,
Mm.
this is the story of my life. This is how the enemy lined me up. You're not lovable. No one likes you. So I'm desperately trying to figure out what I can do to make this man like me because it didn't feel like he did with the way he was treating me.
Mm.
So the tarot cards came out. It was like, I'm going to go onto YouTube every morning and watch a tarot reading because it tells me that he's feeling this and I'm feeling this and he's going to do this and he's going to fix it and he's going to reach out and he's going to. I got
Mm.
hooked on the twin flame stuff, the soulmate stuff, all of that stuff. I got pretty hooked and
Wow.
became my own tarot reader, got my own
Mm.
cards, started a journey of being a tarot reader.
Wow. So from this moment of where you felt this peace, you interpreted that as an angel spirit guide, as something leading you to a better path, but you kind of went in the wrong direction with it.
Oh, yeah. The enemy
So
swoops in first.
exactly. So now you're having these tarot cards, right?
Yeah.
But you're getting hooked into it. So you're watching these people doing tarot card readings and giving you almost proof that it works, that it's real, that it's something that it's good for you, not bad for you. Because they seem like they're happy. But
Mm.
then when you start doing it, did you also feel happy? Did you feel any peace, alleviation? Did stuff let go in your life?
No, I felt it was temporary relief. If
Mm.
I pulled cards or saw a reading that said, I can see that you've just had a fallout with your partner and he did this and you've done that. This is what he's going to do next. He's going to text you and he's going to apologize. And then he's going to make a grand gesture and then everything's going to be okay. So I would have like a relief for a minute. And then as the days go by and I didn't get a text, I didn't get an apology, I didn't get reconciliation, I'd be like, okay, and I would always blame myself.
Mm.
Maybe I've done something that the reading hasn't come in, or I need to, because that's how the enemy works. You have to do
Yeah.
something. It's transactional.
Yeah.
So what do I have to do? I have to up level, lift my vibration. I mean, you probably know all this language, new age language, right? My
Mhm.
consciousness has to be higher. All these things. So there was absolutely no peace. There was the illusion
Mm.
of peace, because
Yes.
Satan has to take something that God's created, because he can't create anything himself. So he can
Mm.
only replicate something and then, cover it with lies. You've got God, and then
Mm.
everything else pretending to be God. That's it.
Mm.
That's all we really have. So there was, I guess, the enemy took peace, replicated peace, and then just covered it with grime. So I
Mm.
was getting these tiny breadcrumbs, like, oh, okay, I feel good, I can go to sleep tonight, but I wake up the next day, there was no text message. Oh, that's really exhausting, and it starts, you start gaslighting yourself and questioning yourself and your sanity as well. And
Yeah.
yeah, but I started a YouTube channel and I got a good following and I got clients. I got a lot of clients. I
Wow.
had a wait list of clients. Um, yeah,
To do those tarot card readings in those basically fortune telling.
yeah, yeah.
Hmm. And you saw a lot of power, I guess, through that too. Did you see a lot of things actually come to fruition and give you validation through that?
You think I would, but in a way, if I look back, I'm going to say no. It was an
Interesting.
illusion.
Huh.
So I didn't really do
Yeah.
fortune telling because it was never really my thing. But
Sure.
what I could do was I could really see people. Now, that was already my gift that God gave me. I can see people.
Mm.
I can look at someone and go, this is what happened in your childhood. This is what you've been through. This is how it's affected you. This is where you need to what you need to give to God. I can see that in people because I could
Mm.
always see as a child. Um, but what would come through in the reading would be a blend of that gift with familiar spirits.
Okay.
Like I can discern the difference now, but then I
Mm.
couldn't. So a lot of the readings would be like talking about their past. And if you go back to the past and correct the past, the future will change. Well, that's a lie.
Yeah.
Okay, that's just a flat out lie. I believed it for 8 years. As a healer, I believed it for 8 years. It's a lie.
Mm.
Why would God want you to focus behind? Why would God want you to keep reliving out the trauma that you went through at 12 years old? No, the demons want you to do that, to re-traumatize you, to distract you from the calling that is God wants to put you on, which is forward.
Yes.
But the New Age and tarot readings and healing, it's all about going backwards.
Mm.
That's how you know it's
Yeah.
from demons. Yes, we want you to relive your trauma over and over and over again. That's demonic. That's hell. I'm just saying. Okay, I won't go off on a tangent there. But so all the readings, it was all about the past. So I could be like, oh, something happened to you in year 5. It was this, and they'd be like, oh my gosh.
Mm.
Now
Interesting.
that I know was familiar spirits because I can see them now that I look back.
Mm.
But I always had a gift as a child, and this is again where the confusion came from. Is I could look
Sure.
at people and be like, well, you're saying this, but you're not it. You're saying it, but it's not. It was like it wasn't in their heart. I could
Mm.
feel, could read people, I guess, from a really young age. It was again really confusing. People were like, oh no, everything's fine. I'm like, something's not fine. Like you've just had a
Yeah.
fallout with dad. I can tell. Like, what do you? And it wasn't. It was beyond reading body language. It was really sensing
Mm.
people's energy. So
Wow.
yeah. So anyway, I did that for a long time. But I did still have my heart, because there are people that want to come to me and pay me a lot of money to do a reading. But if it felt against my morals, I wouldn't do it.
Mm.
If I felt like someone was getting hooked on me, like I need a reading every week for the next 6 months, I'm like, no, I'm not a guru. I don't want you to get hooked on me. You need to find yourself,
Mm.
So I did still have my morals. I did say no to people, and I really wanted to help. That
Mm.
desire was still in me. And so people would come to me with all these these issues. And although I got it wrong by thinking that you have to go back to childhood, the desire to like, no, you should really do something about this because you deserve better. You shouldn't be carrying this with you. So I would say I had morals. I can't say I was a good person because I in comparison, I don't know. My heart was in the right place, I think, at the time.
Yeah.
But that was, I did that for a while. And then I started to really start to move towards more of the healing stuff because it was just a lot more fulfilling than tarot card readings. Like I want to really help people and get them on the path. I knew everyone had a calling and I wanted them to be on that calling. But my personal life was just going downhill. So my career is going like this, or it appears to be, and everything else is going downhill. And it kind of got to a point where it was like, well, just in 6 months, I think the first year of me being a tarot reader, I think I made something like £85,000 for that year. And I was, before that, working in retail, making £1,000 a month.
Wow.
So that's 12,000 a year. So I've gone from 12,000 a year to 85,000 a year in just 1 year with no experience, no business experience, no idea, basically no idea what I'm doing, just showing up. But of course, the blessings from the enemy, you don't know what to do with them. So I didn't prepare properly. I didn't prepare my taxes at the time properly. I didn't set money aside for taxes. I didn't know what to do with anything. So I was a bit lost. But, I had some money in the bank. I found an apartment. So I was, independent. I bought myself a car. I was working all the time. I had no social life. I was always working. But I remember the loneliness being really intense then, because I remember thinking, well, at least if I was lonely, I could say it's because I don't have any money and I need money. Or it's because I live with my mum, my parents, or I live with the wrong boyfriend, not in the right relationship, or whatever. I come up with all those excuses. But here I am in a nice apartment with a bit of money, with a car, independent. So I've got all these things that the world says that you need. And the emptiness is not only still there, but it's worse. It's really bad. And I just sat there on the floor, again, very dramatic, but on the floor crying. Because I'm like, what do I do? I'm so lonely. Like, it's painful. Like, it's physically painful. Yeah. I'm so lonely.
So now the enemy has you almost in a death grip where he has you exactly where he wants you.
Yeah.
Since from all those open doors from your childhood to now put you in a position to read the book, The Secret, took that as a catalyst and the next jumping point to kind of where you are now to unlock your true potential in the enemy's camp, to give you the gifts of the Spirit in a negative sense, not from God's Holy Spirit, but from the enemy's side, from familiar spirits and ascended masters and all that stuff that they like to drill into our heads. But you're going through this and the world's giving you everything, but you still feel empty inside. What's interesting about that is that because everybody's like, you know what, if I just had this, if I just had that, I'd be happy. But that's not the case because you've been through that. You've been through that experience. And there was no alleviation. You said it was the worst that you felt. It was the darkest that you've been. Even going through all that, I guess all that physical or I guess psychological trauma is a good way to put it when they manifest, when the demons came, when they sleep paralysis. But now you're going through something different. Now you're dealing with strong emotional pain because of your isolationism. Because that demon that was trying to, I guess, that was there since you were a girl is now coming into the fullness and taking every ounce of you, rather than just little bits here and there to get you to this point where now you're so dependent upon the machine to keep running and you don't know how to escape it, right? So it's like you're in a hamster wheel and you can't get off, right? And it's getting worse and worse. So how did you overcome then?
Well, I stayed in that for like another 6 years.
Wow. So that was year 2 out of the year 8 that you were feeling like that, and you just kept masking it each and every year?
Oh yeah,
Did it
I'm
ev
actually really
did
good at that.
did it just compound each year?
Yes, it
Interesting.
did.
Hmm.
I would consider myself a very resilient person. I've been
Mhm.
knocked down so many times and gotten up every single time, and I'm confident in that now. But then it was like, oh my gosh, what next, right? So I moved, this moment was sort of 2 years, or maybe even less than that, probably actually a year into doing these readings. And the only thing I could think of left was like, well, maybe it's because I'm in this country. I've
Oh,
always
wow.
wanted to travel. I've always wanted to live abroad. And, I've lived in America for a bit, and I thought maybe I need to, go and be somewhere else. So my father was living in Australia at the time, and he'd always wanted me and my brother to go out there, and my sisters. And so, he phoned me one day and he was like, you okay? I was like, Dad, I always go to my dad if I have a problem, because he's always got the best advice. I'm like, Dad, I said, I'm so lonely. Like, I don't know what to do. I'm so lonely. And he always gives me the same advice. He says, when you get bored, stir the pot. Just put your feelers out there, see what you can move around. And I'm like, I've done everything you told me to. I've stirred the pot. Nothing's moving. I really don't know what to do. And he said, Poppet, why don't you come out to Australia? And I was like, really? He said, yeah, come out to Australia. He's like, you don't have to come and live near where I am, but you've been here before. I went out for my brother's wedding. My brother got married there, and he'd moved there. So he said, you can come stay. You can come stay near me. You can stay near James. You can live on your own in a hut if you want. I don't know, but why don't you come out? I said, well, okay, I'll think about it. So I ended up applying for a visa just to see if I could do it. I spoke to an accountant to see if I could work all the taxes and work there and legally and do all that stuff. Green light. So I was like, yeah, you know what? I think I'm just going to do it. This was all a very short span of time. I move quickly. I think that's why the enemy moves quickly in me, because I move quickly. So I was like, okay, I'm going. Packed up my stuff, had it shipped over to Australia, got over there and got an apartment. And I was in that apartment for a year. That was lonely too, because now I've got all the same problems, but now I'm in a different country with the same problems. I'm like, well, now I'm more lonely because I don't have anyone here. It's like,
Yeah.
wow, okay. I had a lot of pride. I got an apartment that was way too expensive for what I was earning. I still managed to pay all the rent, but I really had to stretch myself, and it was scary. So I was like, why am I paying this much? It was all pride and ego. Like, look what I've got. Look at this lovely apartment overlooking the ocean. Look at me. But I was so prideful and lonely. And I would go to bed, get up and do a reading, go to bed. Get up and do a reading, go to bed. I saw doctors. I saw homeopaths, like homeopathic doctors. I saw naturopaths, because I was like, I'm sick. Like, my body now is deteriorating. And one of the naturopaths, she checked my cortisol. She said, I've never seen someone with such high cortisols in my entire career.
Wow.
So I know, like, I was stressed, but I think I've had that stress since I was a child. I actually don't know any different. So that was a pretty lonely year, but I also began dabbling more in things like yoga and breath work, because the place I was living, it was a pretty big thing in Australia in general. Everyone's very health conscious there. So they want to do the meditation retreats. They want to do the yoga and everything. So I joined a yoga studio and I started getting into that. There's another door that was open, with yoking yourself to whatever demon you're posing as this time. 300 demons, I believe it is, for yoga. It might be more, actually. I think it's 300 demons that you can yoke yourself to. So I've got that, and I'm lonely, and that was a lonely year. But I saw hope, because I had a friend who lived. I had a client actually who lived eight hours north in a place called Byron Bay, which people might know it. It's actually quite celebrity central now. But when I lived there, it was very hippie. Like, everyone goes there for retreats. Everyone goes there for ayahuasca ceremonies. So I knew people that were doing yoga that were going up to Byron Bay to do ayahuasca ceremonies. That was the place to do it. It was the Bali of Australia, is what they used to call it. Now, I never did ayahuasca. I never touched it. I was like, I've seen enough. I don't need to take anything to see anything else. I'm good. So I was never, ever drawn to take any drugs in my life. Never have. But it was very popular for that. And there were talks of lockdown. This was when COVID was happening. There was talks of lockdown. And so, God's grace, I actually ended up moving up there. After my year lease was up, I moved up there. We went into lockdown like the week I moved up there. I mean, it really was God's grace. So I never really saw COVID. I lived on a hill overlooking land and banana trees. And I studied, I did a couple of years studying Ayurvedic medicine and Ayurvedic treatments. And so he kept the classroom open. So I got to study. and I didn't see COVID. I genuinely, hand on heart, didn't see it. So God protected me. But I got to study. I got to kind of find a purpose. But again, I'm going deeper into Eastern philosophy, Eastern ways. They taught yoga, and I'm now surrounded by it. All of the healers and the readers, every shop is like psychic reading, palm reading. Come and get your mala beads. Come and do yoga with us. Come and do a cacao ceremony. Right? I hate cacao, so I was just like, oh my God, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. I'm surrounded by it. I'm in the central, and so I think I was there for a couple of years, but I got into a relationship when I was there. And that, I would say that relationship was the beginning of the end, because it took me down such a dark path that there was really nowhere else to go after that other than Christ.
Wow. So the enemy takes you out of that area you were living in, brings you into Australia, and then in turn now brings you to a very new age area, a very new age stronghold, if you will, right? Spiritual attack, spiritual battleground, it seems like, and everybody there is doing it. So now this is like almost a final destination that he wants to bring you towards to really give you the next thing to go forward with. So when you said it was like with the darkest time, what happened?
So I got into a relationship, and we moved in together quite quickly. We kind of moved into his place. I didn't really like it there, so we ended up moving back to Byron Bay, and it was a difficult relationship. Again, we just weren't suited for each other. I'm not here to badmouth anyone. I'm not. We just were really not suited for each other. It was the thing I loved about him was that he was so much fun. Like, he was spontaneous and he was fun, and he's got an incredible mind. Like, we would have really in-depth conversations, and I need depth in my relationships. Otherwise, I just feel really unfulfilled, unsatisfied. So he was meeting my needs intellectually. But again, he doesn't really like you. No one does. Like, that voice, it was there. And so that voice, it's like these demons kept bringing me people that proved their point. See, he doesn't really like you either. He would look at any woman that walked past. So my confidence went from here to here real quick. And no matter what I tried to do, I tried to morph myself and change myself. I couldn't get him to stop doing it, and he knew it was wrong. But it was what he was like. And he was quite childlike, so he couldn't take responsibility for me or anything. And so I was still doing my work. He stopped working because he wanted to pursue his own purpose, which I supported. I was like, well, I'll pay the bills for a bit if you want to get on your feet and do it. But he never did. so I paid all the bills for the year, the rent. We both had a car each. He had a motorbike. I paid for all those. I paid for him to go to school again. I paid for him to take classes. I paid for him to go on holiday. Like, I paid for everything. I was quite tired at this point. I was drained, and my body was sick. I think I was vegan for about 6 years. And so all my nutrition levels were really low. And I was really good at ignoring my body that was asking for eggs and salmon and steak. I just ignored it. So my health was really low down, and I was tired, and I was studying, and I was working, and I was empty. And then I'm going home, and there's a man there that isn't doing anything. It's not helping, not providing anything, and making me feel like I'm the problem. And I really don't know what else I can do. So we had some time apart, but only for a short time. We ended up getting it, like, trying to fix it, getting it together. We ended up moving to nearer his family because he said, he had kids and he wanted to be closer to them. So we moved there, and we decided to get married. And if I look back, because he said to me, we should get married. Partly it was to help with my visa. I was applying for a partner visa. If we're married, then it was a much quicker process if there's a certificate. But I thought it meant that he loved me, and I thought it meant that someone finally loved me.
Mm.
I was like, yes, someone loves me. Someone's chosen me. Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. But, as the days went on, I was like, it doesn't feel like it. Is it supposed to feel like this? I thought it was supposed to feel like relief that someone loves me and someone's chosen me, or I was looking for rest. I thought it was supposed to feel like rest, and it didn't. And we ended up getting married, and I ended up getting pregnant on the night of the wedding.
Mm.
And he literally said to me, I'm going to get you pregnant tonight. And I'm like, shut up. Like, don't say things like that. Stop it. But he did. And when he found out that I was pregnant, when we found out that I was pregnant, it was very clear that he didn't want to do this. He was like, well, we're struggling and we're falling out all the time. Like, do you really want to bring a child into that? Which is a fair comment, I suppose. But to me, there's no other option. Like, well, this is what's happening. So this is what we're doing. So life for a few weeks was really, really tough. I was very, very sick for the first few months. I couldn't move. I couldn't get out of bed. And it was such a lonely time. Again, loneliness. No one likes you. He started working again. So he would go to work and he would come home, and I'm still in bed from the moment he left work to the moment he comes back. And I'm just staring at the ceiling because that's all I can do. I'll throw up. So he would come back and he would literally poke his head into the room and be like, you all right? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. So, okay, cool. And then just make himself a cup of tea, go into the living room, watch TV until the evening, and then come to bed. So there was literally, no support at all. And really, it's just that he didn't know what to do with me. He wasn't responsible enough to have a wife. And I wasn't secure enough to have a husband. So we really weren't a good fit. But what happened was, when I got pregnant, he didn't want me to tell anyone. He didn't want anyone to know. And I didn't have any friends where we were living. All I had was his family. And he was like, no, you can't tell anyone. So I was obedient. He's my husband. I was obedient. I didn't tell anyone, but that was really lonely. So I ended up phoning a therapist, like a healer, shaman therapist. Spoke to her for an hour and talked to her for a bit. And she said to me, she's like, he actually sounds very narcissistic. Do you know that word? And I was like, yeah, I know that word, but everyone throws that word around. Everyone's narcissistic, apparently. Everyone. I was like, it's just the hip word right now. She's like, no, Laura, this man is narcissistic. He doesn't know how to take care of you, and he doesn't want to, and he doesn't care. And he's controlling you, and he's manipulating you. And I was like, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, we finished the call. I left the room, opened the door, and he's standing there.
Wow.
And he was like, what was that? And he's a lot taller than me. I'm 5'7", so I'm tall as a woman, but he's like 6'3". So he's standing there, and I'm like, oh. He's like, what was that? So what do you mean? He's like, what was that? Why did you tell her that? I said, I had to tell someone. Like, I'm really struggling. Like, I don't know what to do. I'm really struggling. I need to tell someone. Like, I'm not good. And he was like, why did you tell her about me? I said, because she asked. And because that's how I feel. And there was nothing I told her I hadn't told him. But I was like, this is how I feel. And he was like, well, you need to leave. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you got to go. Like, you have to go. He said, I'm going to go to my mum's. You need to pack your suitcases. You got to go. I'll be back. So, obedient. I was like, okay. So I grabbed my suitcases out of the wardrobe, filled them up with all my stuff, basically my whole 4 years in Australia, all the stuff I had in my life, to leave this house, which also I paid for, by the way. I'm paying rent. So, and he can't afford the rent. And I'm thinking, okay, this is technically, I'm paying the bills here. Can I not stay? But no, I'm very good at doing what I'm told, which is great for the kingdom. But not good in these situations. I just packed, and he drove me 8 hours back to Byron Bay. He dropped me off there. I had one friend there, who I stayed with one night, but he didn't drop me there. He dropped me off at a hotel, this sort of retreat hotel, and he carried my suitcases into the room, and he just kissed me on the forehead, and he said, "You're going to be fine. You're the strongest woman I know," and just left. And I can't even describe how that felt. I mean, I don't actually have words for it. People can imagine what that feels like, but I don't know what words I would put to that. To say that's probably the most scared, like genuinely scared. I don't know what to do. I don't have a home. I'm pregnant. I'm running out of money because I paid for a wedding. And I was like, and also this feeling of like, if you think about the enemy lining me up for no one likes you, Laura, I think to myself, okay, I have never done so much in a relationship in my life. Like I've played the male role and the female role in this relationship. I've given everything and I still get left for dead. So part of me was like, I don't really understand this relationship thing. I don't know what else I could do. And there was a voice that was like, yeah, because people really don't like you. Like it was loud then, because now I've been left for dead. So it was like, see, no matter what you do, no one can ever love you. That was loud. That was really loud.
Wow.
So I felt I had no choice but to go through an abortion, which was, as a Christian now, I tell you the repentance of that. Any woman that's gone through that, there's a repentance there. It changes you. There is no way you're coming back normal. But I decided to do it, and okay, I did it. I did it in a hotel room. I didn't have anyone, so I took the tablet at like 8 a.m, and that puts you into labor, which they don't tell you. So the pain started around 10, and the pain ended at about 8 p.m. I've never been in so much pain in my life, ever. And the fact that they don't tell you is, whatever. It was my choice, and I can't, But there was a moment where I was in so much pain. For hours, I was just going from like lying on the bed to lying on the bathroom floor to lying on the bedroom floor to lying in the shower, and I just circled my hotel room for hours. And I saw myself in the mirror, and it scared me. What I looked like was scary. I was like, I was being tortured. Is what it felt like, which is childbirth, but you don't get anything at the end of it. So I remember holding onto the shower door, clinging onto the glass, begging for my life. Like literally begging for help. If anything is out there, same as when I was in America, sliding down that wall, if anything or anyone is there, please help me. But I didn't feel anything. And I think I've got these spirit guides around me that are always there to love me and protect me. And I just call on the angels and they come and save me. Well, nothing came to save me. In fact, it felt like they were probably laughing at me. And if I look back at that time now, which was a good few years ago now, abortions are demonic rituals that will destroy your life. That is one of the worst doors you can open, because you have just sacrificed a young, I don't know what a fetus, a baby. You've just sacrificed that to the enemy. There's a blood ritual. I went to bed at 10 o'clock. I passed out because I was so exhausted from the pain. And I woke up at 2 a.m. covered in blood. There was a ring around me like this, just blood. It went through the bedding, through the mattress. I had to apologize to the staff because they needed to buy a new mattress. I bled everywhere. And I was not the same after that. And something entered me after that. I opened a door to the darkest world I'd ever seen. Because I remember, well, first of all, my friend knocked on the door of this hotel the next morning because she was so worried about me. She'd been ringing me and I didn't even know. And she kind of left me for the day to sort of process everything. And in the evening, I sat on the balcony of this hotel and I'm overlooking this lake, and there's a huge thunderstorm. And I felt it go in me, this anger. It was like something went in, and this voice in me said, how dare you treat me like this? Do you not know who I am? I'm a witch. You can't do that to me. How dare you? I've never spoken to anyone or to myself ever like that in my entire life. Ever. And at the time, I was like, well, maybe this is like that 15-year-old in me that was gothic, and, because I did like witchcraft when I was a teenager. When I dyed my hair black and stuff, I was interested in witchcraft. And I never got to pursue it because life kind of got a bit better at that time. And I was like, maybe that 15-year-old in me is ready to come back. Maybe that was when I felt the most powerful in my life, when I was dyeing my hair black and doing all these things. But looking back, I had opened a door, and that was possession. And I'd never
Yeah.
experienced that before. Something literally was now in me and acting as me.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. So full possession.
Yeah.
That's it's incredible when you tell that story and how it portrays itself as if it should have been there the whole time,
Mm.
is how it portrayed it. It's like almost how dare you not do this sooner, which is striking to me.
Mm-hmm.
But it just showcases how evil and how far that journey took you. It took you all the way to where that entity finally was able to go in fully.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we see a lot of, a lot of the mental health illnesses that we see. There's those people that are going to the very end of that line where now possession enters. And now you're seeing not your own thoughts, something else is in you and making your life that much worse because you can't even control some aspects of it, which is shocking. So that truly is the darkest time. Not
Mm-hmm.
only it seems like you were mentioning, there was an assignment from the enemy to bring that individual into your life, but to create that chaos, it was almost a perfect orchestra, like the perfect symphony of what the enemy planned in order to get you to that position. Did you ever feel a potential break in that evil, or did it just get worse?
Oh, it got worse.
It
Oh,
got
it got
worse.
worse. Yeah, it
It
got
got worse.
worse for
Wow.
2 years.
Wow. So now, okay. Wow. There's a lot just to process with that
I
then,
know.
because I mean we could talk about, yes, the sacrifice of a child does open doors, and we see that in modern society a lot, especially in wealthy circles and bigger things like that. There's a lot of talk of that, and there's power in it. Um, there's negative power in it, but there is power in it. So obviously now you're fully traumatized, possessed, down a dark path. You kind of left alone, astray. Um, did you have any outlet that you could talk to anybody at this point? Did you have any solace, or did it just manifest way worse?
Yeah, that's one thing sadly, I never really had anyone to talk to. The enemy
Mm,
really did isolate me, which I
wow.
think he does with people because it actually
Wow.
amplifies your torture.
That makes
So,
sense.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, isolation is
That's
one
an
of his
interesting point.
tools. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what it is in hell. It's full isolation while full torment for eternity, plaguing by the same spirits that have known us since birth, which is just it's horrible until the
Mm.
great judgment, of course. But
Mhm.
so, okay, so let's talk about that, Laura. Then what happened then afterwards?
So I decided to go home back to England. I didn't feel like I could stay, and I didn't have the strength. I could have done like a student visa or something. Didn't want to do the partner visa anymore, obviously. Didn't want to go back and study. I was tired, so I decided to go home.
Mm,
And I didn't want to. I was like, no, I still want to be in Australia, but I didn't feel like I had a choice. So I went home, and I stayed with my mum for a few months, and I really did seek help. Like from
mm,
I remember going to her. I had so many regrets doing that. Obviously, I mean, what woman like obviously? And I remember going to her and being like, "Mum, I wish I never did that. I wish I never." And I just was crying, and she just was like, "Well, you can't think like that," and just turned on her heels and walked away. That was my childhood, right? So
yeah,
there's really no one to like sink into and cry.
mm,
So I think I would say I probably went into survival. I have to survive, you know. That's what I have to do. So I started, I was already still doing my work, but I started focusing. Like, I'll do my work, get more clients, get back into it a bit more. But now my work had taken a twist. Now my work had a witchcraft um, sort of sticker to it because
mm.
I was reading, drawing virtue tarot cards, which had butterflies and sparkly things on it, and at least it's a bit fluffy. But now it's like, no, I want tarot cards with skulls on it, and I want them to all be black and to have knives on them and stuff that I'm not. I promise you, not interested in. Never have been. Something was in me, 100%. Like something, I had something in me, and I could suddenly start seeing things again. I started seeing like really clearly now, being able to see demons, I guess, like demons that pose as mythological creatures. Like I saw Medusa. I remember I was doing a tarot reading, and I lit some candles, and I bought this cauldron. I was really going for a witchy vibe, and I guess it became like a seance, and I shut all the lights off, and I felt the presence of something come into the room, and I looked up, and there was this woman standing in front of me with this sort of snakes, and I'm like, and something pushed, like tapped the back of my head and pushed my head down like this. And as that happened, I remember thinking to myself, oh my gosh, yeah, you're not supposed to look at Medusa in the eyes, are you? And I was like, oh my gosh. So I'm there like this, and I feel her walking around the table, and I'm just like, wow. And I thought I'm become more powerful than ever. That's what I'm thinking. I can now see these things. That's what I thought, but no, it was just, I had so many things on me. So I was now doing spells and witchcraft and tarot readings using these types of beings. And I was buying like statues of these deities. They're called deities, right? Statues of these deities. I started working with Hecate, the goddess of witchcraft, or the moon or something. I can't remember now. So it got quite dark. Statues of Lucifer, and I was interested in Persephone and Hades. Like the underworld became really interesting to me. I was seeking information on that.
So now you're going so deep where it's normal. It's a normal part of life where you're looking at almost Luciferian items, artifacts, rituals, open doors, and you're expecting to see these entities, these creatures manifest into these almost pagan gods to provide you power in order to work on your craft. And you're thinking it's fine, right?
It's fine.
And not only thinking it's fine, you're thinking you want to see more of it because you want to go deeper within your calling, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you're seeing all these creatures, you're having these idols, these statues, these deities coming, and when you got these items, did the items bring in other things too?
I would imagine so.
Yeah,
I'd
I
say
would
yeah,
think so too.
probably.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I can only imagine how dark it really got then. I can only imagine.
It's just like suddenly the underworld, which I'd never been interested in before, suddenly that became really fascinating to me. I mean, if you think about it, when you have an abortion, as graphic as it is, like when there's 2 tablets you have to take. The first one actually stops the baby from growing, so it essentially kills it, and then the second one expels it. So you've had death in your body. Now, when you've had death inside your body, that does something.
Yeah.
So there's I'm speaking from a spiritual perspective, from someone that can see these things. This is what I was shown. And so suddenly there's just an interest in anything to do with the underworld. And I found Dante's Inferno fascinating. And I studied all the different, realms and all the sort of entities and demons that came with it. And my sister did say to me, like, are you okay? I was like, yeah, fine. What are you talking about? Oh, she just doesn't understand me because, she thinks that I'm suffering, but I'm not. I'm just becoming really powerful. That was my thinking. So I kind of dabbled. And then for a few months, and then God was trying to come in at this point.
Wow.
Okay. So Jesus, and praise God, right? This is Jesus carves his path. So he will prepare you for his entrance, because you have to be able to hold what you see. Like you have to be able to receive the blessings of heaven So they can't just fall down on you. And I know people are praying for things and like, why, where is it? Well, look, abundance is heavy, okay? Heaven, it has a heaviness. Glory is heavy. Glory means heavy. So he prepares the way. So at this point, I've never been so in the darkness, and yet I know that Jesus is preparing to save me. When I look back, I'm like, oh, like I know that's when he was like, right, we've really lost her now. We got to go. Because I do believe that he let me go into all these places because I use it now. I use it for the kingdom, and I have an advantage because I know things and I see things. So what happened was, again, I don't have the vocabulary for the word God, but I do know when I hear something and see something. And I went for a walk. I was still staying with my mum's. I went for a walk, and this voice came over me and said, "Everything's okay." I was like, oh, peace. Everything's okay. I'm going to give you the key to a house. It's your house. There's a church next to it, and I want you to go. Now, I didn't put to I didn't know it was God or Jesus or anything. I was just like, well, that feels really nice and that feels peaceful. And I'm thinking that because I'm working with the goddess of witchcraft, Hecate, I'm thinking it's her. So a week later, I go on a drive. I stayed in Airbnb. A house pops up to view. I go and view it. I think it was like 7 different people applied for it. They chose me on the same day. They went, yeah, it's you. I didn't offer anywhere near what other people were offering, but they chose me because I was a single woman, and it was a couple that wanted just a single person, and they're like, no, we want you. So within like a few days, I'm being handed this key, and I'm like, oh wow, I have this key to this adorable cottage called Eve Cottage, by the way, Eve Cottage, and I thought, I'm going to go and have a little wander around the town or village. It was a tiny village. I was like, I don't think there's anything here, but I'm going to go for a wander. Well, lo and behold, you step out of my driveway and go right down the road. Within 20 seconds, there's a church right there. So I would sit outside at night and hear the church bells ringing. Okay, so God was preparing me. And I kept actually meeting people with the name Eve. And I went on a date with someone who said his ex was called Eve. And I'm like, I feel like the universe is trying to tell me something here. Like, what is it with this Eve thing? And I know Adam and Eve, but I only really understand the spiritual Eve, which is like the deity Eve. There's a deity Adam and deity Eve. So I really only understand that. And so I have not made any connection, but I know the universe is trying to talk to me. Like, I don't get it. But anyway, so I move into this place. I don't go to church because I'm too scared to go in. I never stepped foot in it. I couldn't do it. I literally would stand at the door and be like, right, come on, you're going to go in. Come on, Laura, you can do this. You've got this. I couldn't do it.
Wow.
Yeah. I had way too many demons. They wouldn't let me in. I guarantee.
Yeah.
I did go into
That's
one
striking.
church. My friend took me in. I asked her to hold my hand.
Wow.
Yes, no problem, babe. I'll take you in. And she took me by the hand and she drew me in. Good friends. But yeah, I couldn't go in. Yeah, sorry, go on.
I just wanted to talk about that because, so yeah, God takes us when we're at the most broken, right? When we're at kind of the edge of ourselves, and he's always there, always. It's striking that he just reached out to you. He told you on your heart. He spoke to you on your heart that you would have this home. It's interesting that he gave you a home, though. And I think it was because to get you separation out from that other stronghold in your parents' house, almost, it seems like, to get you completely new, clean, if you will, outside of the noise of the world. And now he's starting to show you subtly all these things. You're interpreting it as the world, but he's showing you his signs that there's a bigger picture. But he had to get you to that point because he had a bigger plan for you, which I think it's beautiful to hear that, because I mean, somebody needs to hear that now. Somebody's watching this, they're going down that same path, and maybe they're starting to see some signs, but they're thinking it's the same thing. Maybe it's the world. But maybe it's not the world. Maybe God's calling upon their heart. So Yeah, Laura, let's talk about that. You now started to you at least went to the church. I don't know if you participated, but at
I
least you went
did.
inside of it.
I went inside. Put my foot in.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, my friend. There was no service on. It was just I walked in and I was like, wow, and I love architecture. I love art. So I was like, wow, look at this. Look at the door. Look at the wood. Look at the. But
Yeah.
that was as far as it went. But I always, I've always found churches to be really powerful. When I step in, I'd be like, whoa. You would feel the
Yeah.
glory, but I didn't know what it was. But I was in that house for about 18 months, and yes, God isolated me. I think He was trying to get me to Himself, to kind of, because He'll do that.
Yeah.
But this is what I didn't realize this at the time, but this is how it was unraveled to me since, because Jesus was now lining Himself up for me. The warfare was okay. So what happened was when I moved into that house, I woke up one night, the TV was on downstairs. I was like, well, that's strange, because I definitely turned that off. So I went downstairs. It was loud too. I don't do loud. So I was like, that wasn't me. I thought maybe it's malfunctioning. It's a brand new TV. So I turned it off, went back upstairs. The next night I woke up, came out of my room, the bathroom light was on. I was like, well, that's weird, because I always turn all the lights off. I'm in the forest-ish. When there's a light on, because there's light. Like, otherwise it's always dark. Like, that's really strange. That happened a few times. One time I was in the bath and suddenly there was a bang, a noise, and TV come on its own, disturbing my bath time. So now it had my attention, because it wasn't like I couldn't sort of think to myself, well, maybe I just left the light on, or maybe I just left the TV on. I couldn't do that now. Now I'm in the bath chilling, and the TV's just turned itself on, and I heard it click on. So I was like, oh no, something's in this house. So again, as soon as you acknowledge it, you kind of name it in a way. You're putting your focus on it. So it started to get worse quickly. Like you say, like it happened quickly. The next night I was woken up by something pulling my feet, literally pulling at my feet. That really scared me. It scared the life out of me. So I was now sleeping with the light on again. And then I woke up one night and I could smell fire. I could smell a burning smell, and it was a stench as well. It was like burning, and then probably burning flesh smell. It was gross. But I woke up and I panicked, and I was like, oh my gosh, my house is on fire. And I ran downstairs, and as I'm running down my hallway, I'm like, wait, the smell's gone. And now I'm thinking, like, okay, so I haven't connected the dots of, like, Laura, hell's in your room. These demons from hell are in your room. They're bringing the smell of fire with them. That didn't connect. It didn't connect for me. But I was scared, and it kept. Then it got to the point where it was happening every single night. Like, I couldn't sleep at all.
Wow.
I would have an hour of sleep every night. I couldn't sleep because the fire alarm would go off. Candles would be lit. Would be lit
again.
Yeah, candles, and the oven, the gas oven.
Yes.
I'm like, well, now you're playing with fire. So, I mean, I thought it was a ghost that was connected to fire. When I tried to sort of tune into it, I was like, oh, maybe you died in a fire. They try and make you feel sorry for them. Oh, maybe you died in a fire, and oh, you poor thing, because then it's like, come to me.
Yes.
That's what they do. They'll play on they'll use you against you. I have a lot of empathy and a lot of compassion. They use that against me. So I phoned my friend in Texas, and she was a witch. And she's now been saved, but she was a witch then. And I was like, friend, I got something in my house. You need to do something. And she did she cast out anything that was in the house. She cleared the mirrors, with her portal. So she locked all the mirrors and did all this stuff. And she said, okay, I need to get this spirit out of the house. I'm like, okay. I said, when are you going to do it? She said, I'm going to do it Wednesday. I said, okay, I'm not going to be here then. Okay, I'm going to go somewhere else. And I've rented a room in a hotel. And when I was driving there, I remember feeling so drained. Like, I was exhausted, like beyond not sleeping. I could feel something in me, and it was pulling me down. It was a pulling down. Now, if I know where hell is, and I'll tell you it's in one direction and it's down. And if you have demon possession, you're going down. I could feel it pulling me down. And there were times where I would try and sleep and I would feel it get into my body. And I'd feel us both struggling. So this thing, whatever it was that had entered me, was now manifesting more and more and more. It was, I think it was as if all of them were trying to take over my body. So I'm driving to this hotel. I'm so tired and I'm scared. Like there's a real feeling of like, I'm going to die. Like I'm panicked because something is really trying to destroy me and take over my body. I could feel it. So I got to this room and I felt like it was watching me. I was like, I can't get a peace anywhere. And I try and get some sleep. And at 1 o'clock in the morning, the fire alarm goes off in my room. And I was just like, is there peace? I was so scared. I opened the door to my room. And I looked out, and I stayed in this beautiful like manor castle, right, which was the worst choice because it was really creepy. So I opened the door and I'm just looking down this long hallway. And I'm like, is anyone out there? And do I hear any other alarms? Nothing. And then my alarm goes off, and I'm thinking, right. So I phoned my friend in Texas, and I'm like, have you done it? She's like, I'm just about to. Like literally, I'm sitting down and preparing everything. I said, well, my fire alarm just went off. She said, yeah. I didn't know if I was going to tell you this. She said, it's not in your house, it's in you.
Interesting.
That is the eeriest, scariest feeling.
Yeah. That is a horror movie.
Right?
Yeah.
My friend at church says my life's been very colourful. That's how he puts it. You've had a very colourful life, Laura. I'm like, yeah. But she removed it. She actually took it to her house, and she would send me videos of when it was like moving the curtains and pressing buttons, and it tormented her for a second, but she had more strength in that area to me. She removed it. So I went home and I got sleep. Like I managed to sleep, and it wasn't coming back. I had a little bit of like stress from it, and I feel like I was, can I sleep? Am I allowed? Is it gonna, but if nothing came back. But then again, I needed to find, like I thought, I cannot get into a place like this again. I can't call on my friend every 2 weeks because something's trying to take over my body. I need to learn this industry. I need to learn witchcraft. I need to learn how this stuff works. So that's what I did. I started to learn about spells, witchcraft, candle magic, herbs, spices, all that kind of stuff. And so that was a road I went down for probably about a year, and that was my way of taking control. And then I would see all kinds of things, ghosts. These things would come to me. I could see them all lined up outside my house. And I thought, they're all ghosts, and they're here to see me, and they're here to talk to their loved ones. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. And I would just sit in my room and talk to them.
Oh wow!
All the time.
Communicate with them.
Yeah. I thought I was
a necromancer.
Talk to you? Yeah.
Would they talk to you as well?
Yes.
In that form, whatever the form they were in?
Yeah, it was normally like, oh, I'm so-and-so's uncle. I'm so-and-so's grandma. I'm this person's son. Yeah. And I would sit and talk to them for hours.
Wow, for hours.
Hours and hours.
And no fear upon your heart.
Nothing.
At that point.
No. I felt like I was in control and I was powerful because I can speak to dead people. Like that's really what it felt like.
Yeah.
So, wow. I played around with that, and then I think the final straw was after that incident. I had 2 bedrooms in that house, office and bedroom. Well, that's tormented. That's just like I've got PTSD from that bedroom now. So I switched my rooms over. So now my office is in my old room, and my bedroom is now in my old office. I thought, okay, fresh start. There's no one's going to wake me up in this room, fresh start. And I wake up one night, and it's the coldest feeling I've ever felt in my life. The room was empty. Not an emptiness like I've known in my heart, not an emptiness like you would feel if you walk into an empty house. This was the void of God, is the only way I can describe that feeling. We don't know what that would ever feel like. And there can be the biggest atheist watching this who doesn't believe in God, but you're still in his presence. So long as you're on this earth, you're in his presence. I don't care if you believe in him or not. But when you go to hell, it's not that. That's what hell is. It's the absence of God. I woke up in what I can only describe as hell because I couldn't feel. I didn't know that I couldn't feel God because I didn't know God, but I knew I couldn't feel something. and it was
Mm.
empty. And it was in the middle of summer. I had my windows open, and I could hear these sheep bleating in the field next to me. So this is like horror movie. That's scaring me anyway. The
Mhm.
ambience was like eerie, and it felt like the room was blue with coldness. I don't even know how to describe that. And
Wow.
it was
That's
like
interesting.
I couldn't describe it. And I feel the presence of something in my room, in the
Mm.
corner, and I'm like, something's like, there is something here, and I've already been through enough. So I'm thinking, well, gosh, what is it now? And I'm kind of in a ball like this, like trying like
Mm.
this, trying to like hold myself probably. And this thing comes out of the corner of the room, and as it steps, it's tall, okay, it's like 7 foot beyond, and it steps out from the darkness of my room, and I just see these horns and
Mm.
this hair. And as it steps towards me, I'd never worked with it. I didn't know who it was, except I did know who it was because it told me who it was. It's like it told me, I knew it was Baphomet, but yeah,
Mhm.
it was like I didn't know that name. It was like
Yeah.
he tells you what he is, and
Mm.
I was terrified. And he put his hands up like this with his fingers like this, and he came over to
Mm.
the bed. He placed his fingers on my knees, and he tried to separate my knees to get on top of me.
Mm.
And I was like, nope, we're not doing that. No. Um, and I was scared because
Mm.
although there was no force coming from him, the presence and the absence of God in the room, because he was in the room, was paralytic. And the only way to feel safe was for me to tell myself, I'm misunderstanding this. This isn't really evil. The world has perceived it as evil, but that's not true. He's misunderstood. I know what it's like to be misunderstood. I need to study the Baphomet. I need to understand it, and find peace in it.
Mm.
That's how the door gets opened again. You seek to find out more, or you seek, So that it was only for sort of a 10-second thing, seeing him. But after that, I started doing research on paganism. Um, the Baphomet, I bought a big Baphomet statue, had it on my altar along with everything else. I
Wow.
tell you, I wish I kept my old pictures. There's pictures of me. I had bright red hair at the time because, that was the thing to do. So I had long red hair. I had black marks and painting on my face. I was about 20 pounds heavier than I am now. I had a big skull painting behind me, big skull painting that I thought was the remains of a dead person that I could talk to, by the way. And then
Mm.
underneath that was an altar with Baphomet, with Lucifer, with Hecate, with just everything.
Wow.
But I remember looking at that altar and thinking to myself, I should probably get a cross because I've got
Huh.
everything else. And Jesus is just what? Another, I don't know what they called him, master.
Character. Yeah.
Yeah, something master, prophet, I don't know. Like, same
Oh,
as Buddha,
yeah.
same as all the other.
Yeah, the Christ consciousness and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, I should probably get a
Mhm.
cross because, I have everything else and he's the same as all the other, it's all the same thing. So I should probably, get that. So I know that Jesus was was preparing an entrance really clearly
Mm.
at that time, and I was 33. So I
Wow.
remember telling someone that, and they're like, "Oh, that's the age that Christ was when he died." And I was like, "Wow, what does that mean for me? Does that mean that I'm about to step into my real life?" Because there was something in me that was like, "This is not who I am. I'm waiting for something." My whole life, I was waiting for something.
Mm.
I knew there was something I was supposed to do. I'm waiting for it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, well, maybe it's finally going to happen. If that's a powerful number, 33, and so his name was starting to come into the room.
Hmm.
Yep,
That was the start of it.
that's the start of it.
You had to go all the way.
Oh,
You went
I
all
went
the
all the
way.
way because if you're going to do it, you're going to do it. So I went
That
all
that's
the
right.
way down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then from that point to even for when you saw the creature Baphomet,
yeah,
you saw the entity, you saw the evil that came from it, but you still considered it good
hmm
instead of what it actually truly is. And that's
yeah,
because of the delusion that we have from the world and from, the spirits that are constantly trying to bring us to the pit are telling us that it's fine and it's not fine. So now all of a sudden the cross enters into your craft and his name is uttered now.
Hmm.
What happened when that happened?
Well, something in me was like, I couldn't hear his name, first of
Oh,
all.
interesting.
I couldn't hear it.
Huh.
Yeah, I struggled with that. Yeah. I could hear the word, I can hear God. I started to, instead of, saying the universe, I remember saying to my friend on a dog walk once, I was like, I don't want to say the universe anymore. I think I'm going to say God. It just feels more right. So
Yes.
God and Jesus was starting to come through, save me. And what happened was I started to feel like I wanted to go, I was seeking something now. There was something that was on my heart that was like, you're really close to discovering what that thing is. I could feel it.
Hmm.
I was like, it's here. There's something, I'm missing the point somewhere. I was like, I really am. I'm missing the point. I'm missing it. And I was like, I'm so close to figuring out what this is. And I went to a cafe one day, and this older gentleman came up to me and started talking to me and spoke to me for like an hour. He was a vicar.
Huh.
And he was talking to me, and he was telling me stuff that was biblical, but I fully understood what he was saying. And he was mesmerized by the fact that I understood what he was saying. So he would say something biblical, and I'd say, oh, yeah, so you mean like this? And he'd go, oh, Laura, you understand me. Like, this is amazing. He was blown away by the fact that I could understand him. I think maybe he had a life where no one really listened to him. I don't know. But we had this conversation for an hour, and he seemed to be really happy to speak to me. And then he said to me, do you have a Bible? And I was like, no, I don't have one. And he said, well, are you going to be here tomorrow? Can you meet me here tomorrow we'll have a coffee, and I'm going to bring you a Bible. And he did.
Hmm.
And so
Wow.
that was how my Bible, which is there, which is now highlighted and marked and everything. He gave me my first Bible. So he gave me that. And then not long after that, I decided to actually pack up and go back to Australia and just do a year there and close that chapter, because I felt like I had to leave in such a hurry. A lot of people didn't know I'd even left. I had friends that were like, where did you go? Are you not living here anymore? It was just a real hurry to leave. And I thought to myself, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to sell all my things. I'm going to get a tiny apartment, the smallest one I can find, and live a really minimalistic life. I don't want anything. I don't want stuff. And I'm going to find what I'm looking for. And I'm going to go to Australia, and I'm going to find it and not come back until I found it. So I got on a plane, and when I got there, I stayed in an Airbnb, looked at places, found an apartment in a beautiful area right by the beach, very small, not a lot of stuff. Kitchen was like this big. But yeah, you pay a lot of money because it's right at the beach. So, it's not like I saved any money. It was like this tiny shoebox. It was really expensive. But I was like, it's fine, because I'm not going to buy any furniture. I'm not going to buy any clothes. I'm literally, all my money will go on my bills and my rent. I'm not buying a car. I'm not having any extras. I just wanted the most simple life. I was craving a simple life. So my days look like going to the beach in the morning, having a swim, doing a bit of meditation, listening to Abraham Hicks, manifesting, and all this kind of stuff. I was finishing off a book that I was writing at the time, so I was doing that. And I'm fully immersed in breathwork, women's circles, cacao ceremonies, everything, you name it. At this time, the enemy knew, because the enemy knows before we do, Jesus is coming. Because he threw everything at me. All the things, okay, how clever is this? All the things that I really wanted in my career, which was to be a yoga instructor, because that's part of the look, to run a retreat in Bali, to have a large social media following, to have a published book. All these things were what I equated to success in my career. In that year, I was given them all. So this is what happened. I'd been there for 2 months. And then one morning, I went to the beach, did my swim as usual. I'm sitting on the sand. And I'm feel this love, this feeling of love just wash over me from toes to nose, like a wave. And I'm thinking, is that the ocean? You know, the sand, the trees. You know, I'm a naturalist or naturalist as well. So, you know, I'm feeling the love of the earth, Mother Gaia. And then I'm like, no, this is not that. And as I'm sitting there, I'm like, whoa, like this is making me want to cry because I can feel this love. I feel someone next to me. And I'm like, there's someone here. So I turned over and sat there, just literally hands on knees like this, just smiling at me, was Jesus. Wearing a white robe that glows, by the way, like glows. And he's just there and he's just smiling at me. And I can't, first of all, you can't be in his presence for very long, especially not when you have what I've got on me. So I didn't sit there for very long, but I was like, I immediately put him into the New Age category, like he's a archangel or something, a master angel, and maybe he's a new spirit guide for me because I've reached a new level of consciousness. And I was like, are you here for me? I don't understand. Are you here to help me? Why are you here? And he just, nothing, didn't say anything, just smiled at me, just didn't really move, just stayed smiling at me. And I was like, oh, I don't think I'm at a higher level of consciousness yet to be able to actually see him or hear him speak to me. So I didn't stay. I got up and left. I didn't stay in his presence very long. I felt really uncomfortable, actually. Well, the demons in me felt really uncomfortable, actually.
Yeah.
But what had happened, which I didn't realize at that time, is I was living an upside down life, an inverted life. That was how I was living, and I created a world, a life for myself that was all in the inverted world. That 10 seconds in his presence had put me the right way up. And I didn't even realize. So I go back to my normal life as I know it, and I go and do my yoga, and I go and talk to my friends who are all like, oh yeah, we're doing my inner child healing today, we're doing this, we're doing that. And I'm sat with them, and I remember this really clearly, one of my friends saying to me, like, oh, I'm going to go to this breathwork ceremony tonight, I want to do a bit of inner child healing for my heart chakra. And I'm looking at her and I'm thinking, like, what does that mean though? What does that mean? It was like she was speaking a foreign language. I was thinking to myself, gosh, I must be really tired because, like, I'm not hearing her. I didn't understand. And I've been in a child healing industry for like 8 years. I don't understand. Don't really understand. And I was like, okay, cool. She's like, do you want to come along? I was like, no, I'm good. I don't want to go. And then I remember feeling like, I don't think I want to do this healing thing anymore. It just feels a bit pointless. I don't really feel like we're healing anything. Because if we're healing something, then why do we keep going back for more? Isn't what's done? Isn't it finished?
Wow.
So, and this is language I'd never used before. I didn't understand it, but I was speaking a whole new language that no one understood me. But that's fine. People didn't like me. It's used to people not liking me, so that's fine. Suddenly I was like, this doesn't make sense to me anymore. And I had a few people ask me if I wanted to host some things, and I was like, yeah, maybe. I don't want to do any healing. I'll host an event with you, like a retreat, but can I just do a talk? Can I speak and teach instead of do any healing? And they were fine with that. So I went to this event, and we had 3 hosts, me included. There was 12 guests in this villa. It's like a weekend retreat. And my friend has them all lined up doing breath work. I don't know if you've ever seen anyone do, but you probably have actually. Like breath work, it's like hyperventilation. And they're all like crying and they're all distorted from breathing funny. And like some of them, like their body's doing weird shapes. And I'm looking and I'm observing and I'm like looking around, looking at these people, and I'm thinking to myself, how is this healing? This looks traumatic. Why do we have to keep going back and reliving our past pain to heal? And I've been doing that for 8 years, and I certainly haven't healed. In fact, I feel worse than ever. And I used to love people, and actually now I hate people.
Mm.
And at this point, I hadn't spoken to my mum for 2 years. I cut my mum off when
Wow.
shortly after I moved into that house, because I was struggling to. I was just, I really struggled with her. I was like, you're not going to give me the nourishment that I need, so I can't keep trying to receive it from you. I'm just going to cut you off. And so I'm just like, actually, I used to love my mum and now I hate her. I used to love my friends and now I hate them. I used to love my family life and my childhood. Now I hate it and resent it. I haven't healed. I've gotten worse. Because, you play around with demons long enough, you become like them.
Yep.
So I was like, this isn't healing. And I thought to myself, this is demonic. And I'd never used that word before. I'd never even heard that word before. I was like, this looks like demons manifesting right in front of me, distorted and contorting, like this is demonic. Yep. So I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I kind of isolated myself from the group a little bit because I was like, I really want to go home, but I can't. I'm in the middle of nowhere in Australia. But after that, I was offered, this is where the enemy is like, I'm going to give you everything you've asked for now. So I was offered a place to do a retreat in Bali. Now, you do a retreat in Bali as a New Ager and you've made it. That's like the ultimate success. So a friend of mine said, do you want to host it with me? I was like, yes. Oh my gosh, in Bali for a week and I'm the host and I get to say I'm doing a retreat in Bali? Yeah, okay, let's do it. I said, I'll probably teach and not do the practices, but I'll do it. Well, anyway, as the weeks went on, I was like, I can't do it. It was so against my morals. And I was like, even if I'm there teaching it and not doing the healing, I'm still inviting people to a healing retreat, even if I'm not the one doing the healing. And there was something in me, I didn't know the scripture at the time, but you know how it talks about do not cause a brother to stumble? Mm-hmm. That was what was on my heart. Like, I might not be doing the healing, but I'm inviting people to do it with someone else. So what's the difference?
Yes.
And so I phoned my friend. It was heavy on my shoulders. I phoned my friend. I was like, I can't do it. Like, what do you mean? We sold tickets. I'm like, yeah, I can't do it. I said, you could get someone else to do it. Like, you can get another host if you really want to. I can't do it. And she said, well, the people that are booked in have come from your clients. Because I had a pretty big following there. She was like, so they're your clients, they're your people. So, what are you going to do? You know them. And I was like, well, I'll refund them. I don't care. I think it was like $30,000 or something. Give it back. I don't want a penny of it. And if I have to pay interest or if I have to pay a charge, I'll pay it. I don't want a penny of that money, because to me it felt like blood money. And so the second that I said no to her, my shoulders relaxed. And then the second that I emailed them all, because I did that because they were my clients. So I emailed them and said, I'm really sorry, we're not doing it. Refund, 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 refund. I'm getting some air in my lungs now and I can breathe and it's okay. So that happened, and then I went viral. And if I look back, I'm like, that's hilarious. So the enemy is like, Jesus is coming quick, we're losing her. Get her to Bali, give her some money, get her to go viral, like give her loads of followers. I went from 3,000 followers to 150,000 followers in like a month.
Wow.
And then so that was on Instagram, and then on TikTok, I went viral too. I went from like 500 followers to something like 350,000 followers in 4 or 5 months, something really short. Yeah. So the enemy was just throwing out all the stops, and I was like, I'm not falling for any of this. Because as well, like it doesn't mean anything anymore. I don't care. It's a number. Yeah. I don't care. It wasn't getting me any new clients anyway. It's just all spam and infiltration and whatever. So I made the decision. I was like, you know what? I think there's something to this God thing. I threw my tarot cards away. I threw my crystals away. I threw my mandala pictures away. I threw my Buddha statues away. I threw my beads away, and I bought a little cross. And I was really kind of ashamed to buy it. There was a stigma around it. It was like, oh my gosh, what are people going to think of me? Because you can be a witch and everyone's like, cool, that's great. And it's like, oh, I follow Jesus. Oh, well, we don't want any of that in here, That's what happened. So I bought this tiny cross, and I was like, and I wore it. And my friends were laughing at me. But I said to them, I was like, I'm going to go home. I said, I think there's something to this God thing. I think I'm I think there's a God. And I don't think it's the universe. In fact, I think God created the universe. So to worship the universe is like worshipping a table. Like, it's nonsense. And I
Yeah.
was like, I don't want to heal. I don't believe in healing. In fact, ever since I've had my encounter with Jesus, I haven't looked for any healing in my life. Not like for the month, like nothing.
Yeah.
There was just peace. And so I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. And I quit my yoga. I didn't go back to I was in the middle of my yoga training, and I paid for the whole thing. And I was like, I'm out. I don't want to do this anymore. I didn't care about the money, like, keep it, whatever. I don't want to do this anymore. So I decided to go home. I was like, I just want to go home, get a little cottage, and go to church and sing hymns. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. So I did that. So I flew home, found a place. I mean, I'm going to nutshell it because it was loads has happened, but I'm just going to give you the basics because otherwise it's a whole other story. But I came home, I started going to church, and God's grace, I was really nervous about going to church. I mean, I've already told you that I couldn't go in before, but I had been released of a few things, but I was still scared. I went and looked at the church a few days before, and by God's grace, there was a lovely woman there working, and she was like, well, Laura, if you're scared, tell you what, I'll meet you outside the door of the church 10 minutes before the service, and I'll walk you in and I'll sit with you. Does that sound okay? And I was like, yeah. So God's great. This is what God will do. He will, like, you ask for help, he will send help. So she sat with me, she led me there. I think it was Holy Communion on that first service, or if it wasn't the first service, it was the second. And when I first took Holy Communion, I didn't know what to do. So I was a bit like, okay, so do I eat first? Do I drink? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? So I was a bit nervous. The second time, that was when it hit. First of all, I could hear the name Jesus without it repelling me. So something had happened. I started to read a bit of the gospel, and every time the writing went red, I was so happy. I was like, okay, Jesus is speaking now. Everyone be quiet. Jesus is speaking. Like, something was happening. And I'd read parts of the Luke's gospel, and I'd read parts of the, bits. And every time I saw that it was going to get to the part where he was going to be crucified, I remember thinking, I don't know if I can read that. I don't want him to die. So I'm just not going to read that bit. So I was having an emotional relationship with him. And so when I took Holy Communion the second time, I walked up, and they bless you, and they have a goblet of the juice, and I took a sip, and I was like, I felt something. And they handed me the bread, and I took it back to my seat, and I was holding it, and I was like, this is really his body. Like, this is his flesh. And I thought, I so don't deserve to even look at it or hold it in my hand. And I tell you, it was so difficult to eat it. When you like trying to swallow, I was like, I put it in my mouth, I chewed it, and I tried to swallow it, and it was like it wanted to come back up. It was like, didn't want to go down. I didn't want to receive it, not because I have Jesus, but because I didn't deserve it. So anyway, I ate it, and then we were closing up the service, and they said, Laura, are you going to come for a cup of tea with us? Going to come for coffee with us? And I was like, no, I'm really sorry, I can't make that. I have plans. I didn't have plans. I want to go and cry my eyes out because I couldn't contain it. So I went back to my car and just cried and cried and cried and cried and cried. Like, sobbed my heart out. Jesus was in my heart completely. Like, I just couldn't stop crying. I was so in love with him. And someone who has a big heart and has always loved, but never had anyone to pour it into, I can't tell you how satisfying it was to have an infinite source, in a way, to pour my love into, and it could actually go somewhere. I was like, I can just love Jesus, and that's enough for me. I'm just going to love Jesus. So I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? I'm crying. I'm like trying to drive. So, I don't know the time span, maybe a week or so later, I played this song, Waymaker. Everyone knows Waymaker. So I played that song, never heard it before, cried my eyes out, and I was just like, gosh, I love Jesus so much, I don't even know what to do with myself, and I'm playing this song, I'm a mess. And I unwind, and I go to bed. I'm kind of turning my light out, and I feel this feeling of love again in the room, and I'm like, I know who that is. And I haven't felt that feeling since the beach. So I'm like, I was like, Jesus is here. That's all I could feel, like Jesus is here. I opened my eyes, and he's standing right at the foot of my bed. And he's not white with a glowing sphere. He was the crucified Christ. So if you can imagine, I'm in love with this man, with my entire essence. Everything I am, every cell, every molecule is in love with this man. And I'm seeing him, and he has this crown of thorns, which is not just a band. I don't know what it is. This is like a hat. This crown of thorns, and the blood, and the mud on his face, which I later found out, when he fell on his face, when he was turned on the cross and he was fallen, you could see that. And his robes were ripped and covered in dark marks. And he steps forward and he says, I'm going to wash your feet. Immediately, my first response was, no. No. I said, you cannot wash my feet. I wanted to serve him immediately. When you're in the presence, my immediate response was to fall to my knees and wash his feet and serve him. But my body I couldn't move. So it was like, no, you can't wash my feet. I need to bow. I need to wash your feet. I'd never had this experience before, of feeling like that. So I was like, no, please, no, you can't wash my feet. I don't deserve it. I know people talk about the glory of Christ, which I experienced, but I'll tell you, it's extremely painful to be in the presence of Christ, knowing what your whole life has been, because he's going to shine that right on you. And this is why people that have the Holy Spirit, people with demons don't like you, because you're shining everything back to them. They don't like it. So I was like, no, you can't wash my feet. And he proceeded to just kind of bow down at my feet, sort of kneel down at my feet, and he placed his hands on my feet. And then he stood up and he walked to the left side of my bed, and he just went like this with his hands, and he's got these marks sort of here, and the blood is dripping down. And he says, put your hands by your sides, put your hands down with your palms up. And he reached over, put his left hand on my right, his right hand on my left, and I'm watching blood go onto my hands. And I'm like, what is going on? I'm being bled. I didn't understand. I didn't know anything. So he stayed there for a few moments, and then he ran his hands up my arms and placed them on my chest. He touched my face. He touched my forehead. He touched my womb. That was, I experienced forgiveness. I knew the second he did it, I was forgiven. And that goes to all women who've had to go through something like that. There is forgiveness. And then he washed his hands down my legs and down to my feet, and just stood at the foot of my bed. And my hands felt like lead. They were so heavy, I could barely move them. My body felt okay, but my hands. And I'm thinking, I really want to ask what this is, but I so regret asking questions. When I first saw him, I had no right to ask him questions. I don't want to ask anything, but it's like he knew I wanted to ask. I could feel he knew I wanted to ask. And I was like, can I ask? And he I said, why are my hands so heavy? What is this? He said, that is the weight of the cross. And the revelation of that, I was like, whoa. So this is like, pick up your cross and walk. This is heavy. Walking in the world with Christ is heavy. But I'd rather walk with the heaviness of Christ than the heaviness of the world. I'd rather carry him than carry the world. And so he stayed at the foot of the bed, and he reached over and he pulled out this huge book, like we're talking like this, massive. It was like gold metal. It's holographic. It's not real. It is real, but it doesn't look real. Huge. And he opened it, and he just went like this with this open book in front of me. And I'm like, I don't understand. What is that? I don't understand. He says, come closer, child. So I sit up in my bed with my hands heavy like this. And I'm like, what? And I'm trying to see, and I'm crying, and I'm just like, I see Laura Ansell. And I was like, that's me. Like, I don't understand. That's me. Do you know that's me? Like, that's my name. Do you know? Like, my brain did not compute. Like, 2 and 2 did not make 4. So it was like, why? I said, first of all, do you know who I am? Do you know me? And he said, and he said, you're mine. 35 years of never feeling chosen in my whole life was healed in that moment. Like, that's it. I'm good. Someone chose me, and it's Jesus. I'm good. So now, if people don't want to like me, that's cool. You don't want me? Fine. Jesus does. That healed something in me that's never come back.
Wow.
Because he spoke to the wound. He spoke to the thing that the enemy had used against me my entire life. And he changed it in a second. You're mine. Done. Written. Finished. No going back. That's it. So he healed that in an instant. And I felt that. And I laid back down, and I watched him walk from the foot of my bed to the left-hand side. And as he's walking around, the blood is disappearing, and the thorns are disappearing. And his robe is sewing itself back together in a way. It's like the robe becomes gold, and he's glowing. The first encounter with him, he was like the resurrected Christ. The second encounter, he was the crucified Christ. Now this moment, I'm looking at the Son of God. This is a gold that you don't see in this world. I'll say gold because it's gold, but it's not gold. And I was just like, wow, the glory and the beauty. I mean, this is a beautiful man. And this is the most masculine presence. Like, this is a man that will protect you through any means and love you fiercely. It's not worldly. So he stands there and he goes like this. So I know what that means. I put my hands down again, like a child. Now I feel like a child. I'm like, okay, put my hands down. And he leans over me and does the same thing. And I see this gold oil go through his hands and onto mine. It washes the blood away and it replaces it with golden oil. Again, honestly, I had no idea what was going on. I was like, wow, it's gold. I was like, that's so beautiful. And he just ran it up my arms. He placed it on my chest. He touched my face. He looked at me. He took a moment. This man knew that I had spent my whole life feeling invisible. And he took a second to look me in the eye. I see you. So he touched my face and sort of like here, he marked a gold cross on my forehead.
Wow.
He put gold oil on my womb, down my legs, down my feet. He stayed at the foot of the bed for a brief moment, and then it was like he was gone. And this took place in like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Because they don't have time, there's no time in heaven.
No.
It took a while to understand what had happened. Because I started going through some real Bible studies after that. And then they started, someone said in one of the Bible studies, well, we're washed clean by the blood of Christ. I said, what? He said, we're washed clean by the blood of Christ. So what does that mean? He said, well, he cleanses you of your sins with his blood. And I was like, oh, right. Okay. I was like, oh my gosh, is that what he was doing? That's a thing? Like, I didn't even know. I was like, that's a thing? So he's washed me with his blood, me. He cleansed me, washed me of my sins. That's why I felt forgiven when he put his hand on my wound. He's washed me of my sins. And that's why he put his hand on my heart, because it was my heart that was so broken. And that's why he touched my face and looked at me. I was like, right. I was like, okay. And then, as the weeks go on, someone said about the anointing oil. Well, the gold anointing oil. I'm like, what's that? They're like, well, there's like, people talk about they have an anointing, like there was gold. Oh, I don't know. Show me the scripture. I'm like, wow, I'm reading it. I'm like, have I been anointed for something? I was like, am I supposed to do something? Like what? Like my brain, again, 2 and 2 does not make 4. I couldn't, it was way overwhelming. And then of course I started reading about the marking of God's children, the mark on the forehead. You can't touch my child. She got a mark on the forehead, all these things. And then I read John chapter 13, verse 8, which is what my movement is named after. So people type in the 13.8 movement onto Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. That's me. So I was reading that gospel, and Jesus says to Peter, I'm going to wash your feet. And Peter says, no, you can't wash my feet. And Jesus says, if I don't wash your feet, you have no part of me. And so Peter lets him. But then Jesus says to him, now I want you to go out and wash, do this for others, wash the others' feet. And so it was quite clear to me, like, well, I've been given something, and I believe I need to go and do this for other people. I need to wash the feet of the nations. Like, I knew there was a calling on my life now, but I knew, I didn't tell anyone this story. I told one friend, no, 2 friends, one friend, one pastor. Didn't tell anyone else because I didn't understand it. But I knew I felt different. And I knew I had to give everything up because I built everything on the enemy, on the enemy's foundation. So I deleted my social media. I told my assistant I was going to do it. She's like, you've got like 250,000 followers. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm going to delete it. She's like, okay, are you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to delete that. She's like, okay, what about your TikTok? You got 350,000 followers. Yeah, I'm going to delete that too. She's like, right. You don't want to just like start again? No. I don't take anything with me into my new life. I give it all up. It's not worth it. So I did. I deleted everything, deleted my website. I had to give up my house because I couldn't afford my rent. And I had to lean on the mercy of friends. I stayed with friends for months here, months there. God completely put me into rest. Completely rest. You're to do nothing. I'm taking care of you now. And when I started going to church, like properly in my local church here, God made it really clear to me, if you give me your life, like if you let me do what I need to do with it, I will provide for you, I will protect you, I will give you everything that you need, but you need to give me everything. And I did. I gave it all up. I gave everything that I had and lent on him completely, which, by the way, was the first moment of peace and rest I've ever had in my life. I'm like, finally, rest. This is what I needed. Like, I've been looking for this. And I mean, that's a whole other story. I've written a book about what happened afterwards, because a lot happened. I went into full-on warfare because I'd been baptized by Jesus himself. He hand delivered me personally. There's going to be some warfare with that. I had no money, no home, like nothing. So I went through a huge warfare, and I've written about that. But my life is for him. There is nothing else. And my life is a consistent glorification of him. I'll glorify him in any room I step into. I don't care who you are. I'm glorifying my Lord and Savior. I want my life to reflect him. People have to know who I serve. there is nothing else.
Mm.
And in a way, that experience kind of ruined me for anything else in the world, because what can beat that? Like, oh, you want to go
Mhm.
out for ice cream? I saw Jesus. What? I'm not gonna. I'm not satisfied. Like,
Yeah,
not. So
yeah.
it took a lot. There was actually a bit of real sadness there, because there was really nothing in the world that could bring me any joy. I had a period of time where I had to really wait for God to show me fruitfulness in my life,
Mm.
where I could say, yeah, that was from God, and that was from God, and that, like, including this home, like, this was a gift from God. And
Yes.
so I can be in this home and feel joy. But that took a minute. I needed the fruits to be able to actually go into the world and feel something, because the world just doesn't have anything to offer us.
That's right. Nothing but pain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's it's, um, it's truly it's truly remarkable about how God just plucks us out,
Mm,
right, from the mire and the pit.
yeah.
But not only that, that he washes us clean, but he anoints us and he gives us a position in his kingdom that he allows us to do mighty works in his name.
Mm,
And that's what he's doing in your life, Laura. He's preparing the path for you. There's great abundance to come and many souls to be saved by your testimony, by your witness to Christ, but also to your words, because your words have power. All of our words have power. We speak life and we speak death. And here on this show, we amplify the words of Christ, and we try to tell the nations to wake up, because the time is coming,
mm,
and you're a testament to that, Laura, that your whole life is dead. The old Laura is dead, and you have a new name in Christ, and it's a wonderful story. It's a wonderful testament to just how he restores all of us
mm,
if we give it up to him, though. And that's another part that you're that's that's highlighted in your works of your books and all that. Um, that's the next stage, and sometimes that's the hardest, right? It's to carry that cross, that heavy burden.
mm,
But he makes sure that our yoke is easy and our burden is light, right? And if we abide in him, good fruits will come through, and we'll have that life maintained. But if we choose not to abide in him, that's where it becomes very challenging. And especially when you give everything up of the world, and the world keeps, nipping at your heels,
yeah,
saying, "No, no, come back, come back."
mm,
There's nothing to miss there. The old world is just gonna burn up anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
mm,
But when you went and you had your encounter with Christ on the beach,
mm,
you didn't even know who he was. You just thought he was some ascended master coming through. But when you felt the heaviness of that, truly this is the King of Kings,
mm,
and that weight kinda went through you, that's the reverence of God. That's the fear of the Lord, because you just wanna serve him. Exactly what you said. I just wanna serve at him, hand and feet. That it always says we fall at our face dead, and you couldn't have said it better.
yeah. I found out a few months ago that the word glory means heavy,
Mm,
and I didn't know that. And then when I thought about it,
didn't
I
either.
thought about times where I felt this heaviness from the presence of God, this feeling of like, I have to bow because there's nothing else to do right now. I don't know if you've
Yes.
experienced that, where you're in prayer and you're like, I have to, like, you feel this pressure of like,
Mhm.
I need to get up, bow. That really is
Yes.
the glory of God. And
Mhm.
he's been so generous and so kind, and he never forgot about me. Like, how
No.
amazing is that?
And
Your whole life he's never forgotten about you. Like, hey, he knew my name.
yeah.
So he's always there. And I get to live a life now where I get to be in service all the time, like, all
Mm.
the time. And that, like, what else is there to do? I don't want to be served. I
Exactly.
mean, no, I don't. Well, I mean, yeah, I'll be served because someone wants to have the experience of serving.
Mhm.
But there's really not that much fulfillment. But kind of being raised in the kingdom, God really raised me with that year where I had rest, because just like your parents will teach you how to, say you dress, say you eat, say you cook, this is how you do all these things. The Lord did that in my life. So once I given my
Mm.
life over to Him, it was like, right now, this is how you're going to dress.
Mm.
And it was different to how I used to dress. Suddenly, I wanted to be
Yeah.
covered all the time. I wanted sleeves. I wanted all the, suddenly I really showed up differently. This is how you're going to
Yeah.
spend your money when you have it. You ain't got any right now, so don't worry about it. But when you do get some, this is what you're going to do with it. It was like, this is how you're going to speak. This is how you're going to be still and silent. Like, this is how you're going to show up for people. This is what you're going to do when someone's trying to aggravate you. This is how you're going to react. This is how you're going to respond. So he raised me in his kingdom. And
Wow.
it's different. And it should,
It is.
because people should be able to look at you and know that you come from somewhere that isn't here. And if we look,
That's right.
if we dress the same as everyone else, if we look the same as everyone else, if we act the same as everyone else, well, then you're just in the world, aren't you? So it was sort of like his separating me.
Calling you out.
I don't want people thinking I'm from, from the space. I don't want to associate. People have to know who I serve.
Exactly. Yeah, we have a heavenly kingdom that we point to, not an earthly kingdom, because these don't matter.
Yeah.
So Laura, you mentioned now that you're kind of serving the Lord each and every day. What do you got going on now then?
Well, I get to pour all my heart and soul into this movement, so which feels really good, because it kind of feels like my heart gets to go somewhere, and it it's me constantly planting seeds into the kingdom. So I named it the 13:8 movement. So if people go on Instagram, they'll see it, TikTok and YouTube. I started making videos again about how we serve the Lord and how we really find our purpose in him. So I've always had this really strong calling to, like, I knew I was here for a purpose from when I was tiny. It took me 35 years to get there, but that's okay. It was like, I knew I had a calling, and I meet so many people that have that same feeling. So I work with them either individually or through my programs to get them to understand what God is calling them to do. Now, I can't tell them what their purpose is in life, because that's not my role. I'm not confused. That is the role of the Lord. And I feel like it's blasphemy to say that I can tell you what you're supposed to do, because that's not my role. But what I do with these women is kind of help them to understand the kingdom, how different it is, help them to understand that everything they've been through, their uniqueness, is what God will use for his glory. And there's kind of this beautiful transition of taking them out of the victim of their story and into the glorification of their story, so that God can use it, giving up things that they don't need to take with them. It's sort of this whole process, which is amazing. So I do that with women. I don't work with many women one-on-one, only 12 a year. That's what I've been told to do, so that's what I do. But, they have my programs and stuff. And also, I get to paint. I get to paint Jesus, because I'm an artist. So I've been painting him, and I'll be selling those at some point through the movement, and get back into fashion. And I'll be making, I want to make clothes for God's daughters. I want to dress God's daughters. Now that's cool. So I've got all these things sort of up and, they're up and coming, but it's all through the same movement, just pouring in, washing people's feet, whether you're listening to me teach, whether you're listening to my testimony, whether you're buying a painting, whether you're watching a class. It's all just, I get to pour into it. And it won't be long now until the book is out. I wrote the book in 40 days.
Wow.
The old book that I'd written that took me 4 years, that was all new agey, deleted, gone.
Amen.
in the bin. So God called me to a 40-day OMAD fast at the beginning of this year. That was fun. And in that 40 days, I wrote that book. So I get to tell the story of what happened afterwards, because I went through a whole deliverance season, and the stuff that was on me would have had no clue. So the Lord really, I fasted so much, days and days and days and days, no food, nothing, just fasted. And it all was falling off of me.
Wow.
Yeah. So I write about that in the book. People can know what was on me, and hopefully I really, really pray that they'll read what was on me and recognize that maybe they have something like that, because I also explain what I did to open the door to those things, so people can kind of connect the dots. Yes. But I mean, I had there's stuff. there was stuff. So
wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm certainly looking forward to reading that book, Laura, and I'm certainly, I'm happy that you are now part of the kingdom of Christ,
Thank
and that
you.
all your talents can be used for that and for the glory of the kingdom and for the master above. So so Laura, I thank you for sharing your story with us, and I'm thankful to hear it. I'm thankful to see the direction that God's placed you in. There's so many great things that you're going to be doing for the kingdom. I feel it pressed upon my heart.
Mm.
And so Laura, I would love to have you kind of close us out in some prayer,
Yeah,
if that's okay.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, let's do that. Oh, Heavenly Father, thank you. We thank you for bringing us together for the glory of you, Lord. May this testimony glorify you as much as possible, Lord. And those who need it, may they see it, may they hear it. Lord, go to them all, show them yourself. Jesus, reveal yourself to them as you did for me. Lord, let them know how much you love them. Lord, wash their feet as you washed mine. Let them know that they are so special in the kingdom, Lord. Let them know, let them see, let them hear it, let them feel it, Lord. Let them know that there is a place waiting for them in heaven. And all those who are curious about this testimony, all of those who feel that there is a calling from you on their life, Lord, may this testimony let them know for sure that it is their time, it is their season of salvation, and that they too can be saved just like we have been saved. And Lord, I thank you for Carl in this podcast. Lord, may you bless him and lift his family. Lord, may you anoint him. May you allow him to fully step into any calling in any part of his life that he hasn't yet stepped into. Lord, bless him and anoint him in those areas. Lord, I lift him to you. I lift his family to you. I lift his work to you, Lord. I lift his podcast to you, Lord. You have saved him as you've saved myself. And Lord, we say thank you. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus, for dying on the cross for us and returning for us. Thank you for no longer leaving us as orphans. Lord, we say thank you and we bow to you. Lord, you are our Savior, and there is nothing that we can do without you. We can't do anything in this world without you holding our hand and you leading us, Lord. And so we ask you to lead us. We ask you to lead all of those who watch this podcast, lead them back to you, Lord. And if they're lost, let them know that it is never too late. If they feel like they've done too much to deserve your grace, Lord, prove them wrong. Show them that they have never moved too far away for the love of you. And Jesus, we know that you always go after that one lost sheep over the flock of 99, Lord. And I know the joy that you would experience in bringing that one sheep home, Lord. And through this testimony, may you find so many of your lost flock. May they hear your voice and know your name. May they know that you're calling them home, Lord. The scripture says the flock will always hear the shepherd's voice, Lord. Let them hear you and let them know your name. And Lord, we bow to you and we say thank you, Jesus. And we pray this in your mighty name. Amen.
Amen. Laura, it was like an absolute blessing to get to know you for today, to hear your story and your testimony, and to see how just God has placed your story into the hearts of many of those listening to it today. So just want to thank you for your time again. And for everybody here that's watching, my name is Kyle Loriano, and this is The King is Coming, and we're out.